All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to IACommand. This is the September 30th live stream. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching the re-recorded VOD or if you're catching this live, welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about Season 4. We're going to talk about the 4.2 changes, and then for the main content for today's video, we're going to be looking at the Season 4 as a whole. We're going to do kind of like a card by card set review, sort of look at each card and say, well, like, what's it been doing, how's it going, how strong is the card, and also I want to give some kind of like design stories, backstories for the cards, since I was part of the team that made these. So before we do that, we'll go ahead and do a community roundup, just kind of the news of what's going on in the community. And let's see, so the main thing we had to this past weekend was Isaac actually ran a tournament on this past Sunday on the 27th, and it looks like they had 6 players. It was a free tournament, no prize support, so pretty good turnout. 6 players is about what you'd expect at like a local game store, with a good community. And it was, held during the European time zone. So for a lot of us on the U.S. side, the west side of the world, it was like in the middle of the night for us. So like it would have started at 1:30 in the morning for me. But let's take a look. I'm just going to look at the top lists. So I'm going to look at the top 3, the lists that went 2 and 1 or better. Isaac's actually going to be taking a look at the game logs from this tournament on Friday during his live stream. So I don't want to horn in too much on that, but let's just take a look at some of these lists that got 2 wins or better out of the 3-round tournament. So first up, we've got Tuka's list. He went 3-0, and thank you to Isaac for sharing the lists with me so I could go over them with everybody. So as you can see here, this is Tuka's list. So he's got kind of a modification of the old Han's Heroes list, which for those that remember from before IACP, you commonly saw Han Solo, Sabine, and Drakata with a bunch of support figures. And here we see that instead of Drakata, he has dropped Drakata for Jin Odan and Loku Kanaloa. So upped the activation count without having to run like a generic smuggler. So he gets to run heroic effort in this list, and gives him an extra attacker. So instead of just 3 attackers or 3.5 attackers with Han, Drak, Sabine, and Hera, he's got 4 or 4.5 attackers, with Loku and Jin Odan being pretty good at attacking. Loku, if he can attack the figure that is marked with the recon token, and Jin Odan can attack really well as long as she's focused, and she also that hair trigger ability is really annoying to have to deal with. So the deployment card side, he's got kind of a mix of hunter and smugglers. So you can see he's got assassinate and lamb. A nice choice of defensive cards. Interesting, he's running tough luck without doubt, and of course graffiti. So pretty standard deck. He's actually running the command card for Loku, coordinated attack. That's pretty cool. That's the one where it's 2 actions, and Loku and a friendly figure within 3 spaces can attack the same target. So that list went 3-0. Looks really good. Loku kind of debuting here as a premier figure for the Rebels, and we'll get into that when we talk about the Season 4 cards. Let's look at one of the 2-in-1 lists. This list was run by Tom Parrish, and this is the format that it was sent to me in, so we can look at it here. You can actually see the cards, which is nice. And Tom's running a recovery list with both IGs, IG-88 and IG-11, along with the repair droid MHD, and then rounds it out with 2 hunters with Vinto and Greedo. Only has 1 focuser in the list, 3PO. It helps that IG-88 autofocuses, and IG-11 can autofocus with his command card. So let's see what he was running there, because I think the command card suite is where this list gets really interesting. So here you can see Blaze of Glory, of course. He's got Armed Escort. A lot of defensive cards in this list, in addition to some of the Hunter staples. So, of course, guild programming, like I said, lets IG-11 autofocus, so he doesn't need as many focusers like Gideon or Jabba. He's also got Miracle Worker, since he's running MHD. And then here's the cards that is really cool in this list with the two IG-11 and IG-88. Repair basically turns any of Tom's figures into MHDs, where they can repair 3 damage or recover 3 damage off of either IG-11. And of course, he's also got extra armor, and both IGs have that +1 block. So these are really tanky IG droids that, because they're so tanky, recovers really good to keep them alive. Of course, second chance. He's also running Take Cover for an extra +1 block. And he's got 2 the limit in there, which I am assuming is something you would use with like MHD off of either medical loadout or maybe improper procedure and then an attack. You can do it with rapid fire. He's got 2 rapid fire figures, but you can't really do much after you become stunned with that. He's also running Devotion, which is great because of course he has Blaze of Glory and guild programming. And yeah, really cool list. Kind of disappointed in Tom for not bringing Clan of 2, because that card is like perfectly designed to be run in a list like this. You get that recover 1 for 1 point, and you get a defensive buff if you put it on IG-11. But I think he just didn't have the points. I think it looks like he probably ran Black Market instead of that, and Black Market's a great card, so nothing wrong with that. And then let's take a look at the last 2-in-1 list, which is, let's see, who is this? Oliver. So steering committee member Oliver, looks like he played, and he actually played looks like a Chewbacca list, which I believe is one of his signature figures that he likes to run. So Chewie with, of course, the Wookiee Avenger card, and it looks like a pretty straightforward smuggler list. So he's got Ezra, smuggler, Lando is a smuggler, Jyn is a smuggler. So he's got 4 smugglers here. The Rebel care package surrounded out. Extra armor goes well with Ezra and Chewie and Jyn. I wonder who he put the tokens on, because he's actually got some good targets for that. And Doubt, which is really good with this list if your opponent doesn't want to come to you. Definitely a close range brawly list. Chewie likes to get in close to slam. Ezra, of course, is melee. Lando likes to get in close because the closer he gets, the less he has to rely on blue and green dice on his reroll, and he can gambit for a red. And then Jyn is pretty good at any range. And then looking at his command deck, he's got, of course, on the Lamb, Debts Repaid is required. And he's actually, looks like he's running 1 copy of Slippery Target. I think that's one of his cards that he really likes. Really good against, basically like an on the lamb against any kind of melee figures. And if you position it right, can be on the lamb against anything. Run for cover, good defensive card. Yep, looks pretty standard. Oh, he's got Disorient, which I'm assuming probably gets used with Chewbacca's Slam, maybe. But that's a cool one. So there you go. So Rebel Smugglers with Chewbacca, 2-in-1, played by Ollie. That is your tournament report for the Sunday tournament. A bit of a small turnout, but I thought it was worth mentioning since it is the only tournament we've had aside from the playtesting league for season 4. By the way, playtesting league is still going on, so let's actually talk about that real quick. The season 4 playtesting league. Actually, no, let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about it now. So season 4 playtesting league. Wasn't actually going to talk about this one, but I think it's good to do because I think people are thinking maybe it's wondering if it's still going or not, and it is, in fact. Season 4 playtesting league is still going. We are on week 8, and we're going to keep going until, let's see, the last week of October. So October 30th, right up until the end of season 4. And we, of course, this is an open league, so if you guys want to jump in, all you got to do is send an email to iacontinuityproject@gmail.com, and just say, hey, I want to join the league, and we'll get you added in. Just let us know what your tabletop.to account is. You do have to register on the site here at tabletop.to, make an account, and then we can go ahead and add you into the league, and you'll get paired up. And the fun thing about the league is we are not using the 3 standard tournament maps anymore. We had some people say on the Slack that it's getting kind of boring playing the same 3 maps, for 7 and now 8 straight weeks in a row. We're mixing it up. We're doing a throwback for these last few weeks. And we're going to just let people play on any random map from the last 2 years of tournament rotation. So anything that came out between Jabba's Palace and anything before Lothal Wastes. So I think there's like 6 old maps that we're going to be playing on. It's going to be a lot of fun. That is the playtesting league, so definitely let us know if you want to join that. All right, let's talk about the big news for this week. Season 4 final update has come out. This is the 4.2 update. So I think we had 4 cards that were changed. And then let's look at what got changed. And this is the final update. After this is going to be the community vote on October 19th. And that's where you guys all get to say, hey, here's all the cards. Do you think they should be permanently added to IACP, or do they need to, go back for redesign, or maybe just not be added at all? So the first change we've got here is the Darksaber was updated. Darksaber, basically we took out all the stuff that said Sabine can't do the cool stuff she does usually, and just said, you know what, if you put this on Sabine, she gets a reroll. She can do like a little red die melee attack as a bonus. And that's pretty much it. And we thought that would be fine for 1 point. A lot of people were pretty unhappy with how restrictive Darksaber was if you put it on Sabine, and thought it just shouldn't have her name on it. But we did want to keep her on there for flavor. It is still primarily for Maul though. And we decided not to change the way it works for Maul. We did a little informal survey and on the Slack channel, and vast majority of people said it feels balanced, it feels good on Maul. It shouldn't be nerfed. So that is the Darksaber. Rebel Pathfinders, they have been updated. They are now 6 points instead of 8, and they are figure cost 3 instead of 4. And because the points went down, they also had a reduction of health from 7 to 6 to match their new points, and reroll went down from 2 dice to 1. So this was, we had people saying on the Slack channel, 8 points felt like a lot for these guys. They don't do a whole lot of damage. They have a lot of neat tricks, but it doesn't quite feel like an 8-point figure. That's roughly 1/5. That is exactly 1/5 of a 40-point list, which feels like a lot for something that isn't doing a lot of damage. So Pathfinders, we lowered them to 6. We think this is going to make them a lot more competitive as far as being included in lists. They're not going to cost as much, but they're still going to be good and balanced, I think, for this points cost. It'll be interesting to see how they do, and especially how they do when the next map rotation happens, which is coming up not too far away, about 2 months, I think. Next update was Lando. So Lando, we lowered his health from 9 to 8. We were hearing from a lot of people that he is very good. People have finally gotten to playtest him. I think a lot of people were cold on Lando when he first came out, but I think now that people have had a chance to play with him, they've come around. He is quite strong for 6 points. He's got a lot of tricks. He's got, of course, On the Lam, but also Cheat to Win is really strong with him. And it's been found that a 9 health with a lot of these tricks was a little too, a little durable. We thought maybe we don't want to take away what people are saying is fun, which is the dice manipulation. So maybe we should just put his health back to 8, and that way he won't feel like he's getting away just by the nape of his neck all the time. Speaking of Cheat to Win, we also updated Shrewd Scoundrel. The wording has been added that it checks the dice after rerolls. And so that means that it's a lot clearer now when that happens and how it interacts with cards like his command card Cheat to Win. Cheat to Win says, use after you re-roll with Gambit to change that die to any die face. Now it's more obvious that, okay, so I do Gambit, then Cheat to Win says I do Cheat to Win to change the die. Okay, and then Truth Scoundrel says I check the die result after that to check the die. That happens after rerolls, which is after Cheat to Win. So hopefully that clears things up and makes things a little less confusing. A lot of people have said they really like Lando, so I'm really happy to hear that. All right, next one is Verena. So a weird interaction that's been coming up is Verena and how she interacts with General Weiss and IG-88. They have abilities that let them choose what their attack dice pool looks like. And because of the way FFG has ruled it, when Verena uses close quarters on one of these figures, they get to choose which dice she attacks with, but she doesn't get their innate abilities, like usually they have plus accuracy. So like IG-88 can make her roll 2 red die, which means she'll get 0 accuracy, and she doesn't have like a search for accuracy because we wanted to discourage her from making long range attacks too often. So instead, we added a +1 accuracy to close quarters so that if you attack one of those figures, you don't have to worry about missing if you're attacking an adjacent figure. You'll always get that +1 accuracy. So hopefully that is a nice quality of life improvement for Verena. And then finally, we had a templating correction on Bosk. This isn't really a change, it's just more of a fix. We did not intend for Bosk to be able to use indiscriminate fire to target the defender. It should only target all the other figures around the defender. So we basically just fixed the templating, so now it matches Captain Taro. It should match that templating that he uses for Flamethrower, and that's been fixed. And I think that was it. And there were some other things, like we fixed Mando. He was missing his block tokens from his card. We got that fixed. So yep, that's the 4.2 updates. A lot less than 4.1. I think with 4. We had a couple big ones, but the rest of it was just kind of housekeeping, getting that stuff all fixed up. So that is it for that. Let's jump into the main content. And for what I'm going to do here is we're going to do a little bit of a set review. Uh-oh, I lost all my deployment cards here for Rebels. Anyway, what I was going to do is go through each Season 4 card one by one. And we'll talk about how good they are, how competitive they are, and maybe give a little bit of a background. So we'll fix this. Sorry, guys, I had this set up ahead of time, I swear. So we got ATRT, Verena, Jin, Urso is one. Sabs were there, Lando, Loku. And that's it for Rebels. Okay, let's just go down. We'll go through the factions. So we'll start off with Rebels. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about each card. I'm going to give it a little background, and then I'm going to give it a grade. I'm going to grade these cards on how good I think they are. I'm going to look at it not from like my designer point of view, but I'm going to look at it more from like as a player. Like if I was looking at these as a player, what grade would I give them? And by the way, I am watching chat, so if you guys type in chat, I will see it. I do have it up this time. Getting better at this streaming thing. We're getting better. Anyway, okay, let me make sure the picture looks good. Yep. So first one let's talk about is ATRT. So this is cool because it is the first massive figure in Rebels, actually. They never had one before this. They have had vehicles, I think Sabine was the only vehicle though, so this is also kind of a big deal for Rebels getting a vehicle. We've seen them doing pretty well in trooper lists as well as vehicle lists where you have 2 ATRTs and Sabine, or usually you run Sabine and ATRT and like Fen, because they're also troopers. And being an 8-point trooper is pretty fantastic when you combine it with cards like Call the Vanguard. They are a little bit limited by their mid-range figures, so I mean they can get lucky. Blue, green, yellow has one of the biggest gulfs in accuracy, as far as like your top end and your low end. You could get as high as, let's see, I think 10 accuracy is the highest you can get without a focus, or you can get as low as 3 accuracy. So yeah, you know, you probably want to be attacking, if you're not focused, you want to be attacking with these guys at about range 5 at the maximum if you want to really be secure. Something interesting about their design is, so they started off, they actually had a +2 accuracy bonus. They were pretty close to this. I think they had 14 health. This was actually Jake Peterson's design. He really wanted these guys to be in the game because they were available in Legion. They had a +2 innate bonus, and you could actually re-roll a die for each space they had moved before they attacked during the activation. And I think what we found was that they were just really, really accurate if you focus them. Like blue, green, green, yellow, and then you could re-roll a bunch of the dice with an innate +2. They were sniping like from down across the map. And I think the playstyle we wanted was more of a mid-range figure. So if I were to give these guys a grade right now, I would have to give them a, oh, and you know, I should talk about my grading system I've got here. So grading system we're using for this is, we're going by standard American school grading system, A through F. So A, B, C, D, F, if you're not familiar. A is the best, F is the worst. An A would be something like the best figures in the game. So like Han Solo, Darth Vader, Imperial Officer, 3PO, Gideon, Jabba, Jet Troopers, Onar, Greedo, Hondo, Thrawn, Jawa. Like, these are the figures that are the bread and butter of each faction. You are going to likely have an A list, A figure in your list if it's a really competitive list. B is going to be kind of your really good figures, but more situational. So these figures are strong, but you're not necessarily going to put them in any list. Like, you really need to have a list that's tailored for them. So at B, I would have like Hera, Ezra, Ahsoka, Drakata, Riot Troopers, Weequay Pirates, BT-1, Beast Tamer, Lothcats, etc. So these are more niche, but they're still very strong when they are in their niche lists. At C, I have figures like Chewbacca, Jedi Luke, Kanan Jarrus, Leia, Captain Taro, Vinto, Nexu, Mac. I actually have Death Troopers at C, Alliance Smugglers, and the ATDP. These are figures that are good, like they're decent. They're just not quite at the top tier. There's something holding them back a little bit. They've got some limitations, or they're some inefficiencies, or there's something lacking that's keeping them from being like really strong, but they can be okay in the right hands with some luck in the right list. So that's what a C is. A D is a figure that's just not quite there for competitive play, but if you stick it with a bunch of A's, it probably will do like just okay. At D, I have figures like Davith, Tress, Jared, Ugnaughts, Dewback Rider, Gamorreans, Wookiee Warriors, Bantha Rider, HKs. So by the way, all these examples are from pre-IACP. And then at F, you have figures that you never would run in even a semi-competitive skirmish list. These are figures like Wampa, Rebel Troopers, Wingguard, Snow Troopers. These are just not... Something went wrong with these. Most of them came out before Jabba's Realm for sure, and you wouldn't put these in a list unless you were like really, really new to the game, or if you were just kind of really messing around and not trying to win really. So that's the grading scale. So looking at that, ATRT, I would give a B+. You know, it's not really a figure you can just shove into any list and it'll do really well. But if you put it in with the right support with other vehicles and troopers, it can do really well. It's got great stats for its points as far as health. It's a 2x2, so it can't hide very well, but you put a block token on it, it'll survive long enough to do what it needs to do. All right, next one. Let's talk about Verena Talos. So, and by the way, I'm doing this because now that the 4.2 update has come out, these cards are kind of like, this is what we're going going to get. I wouldn't do this at the beginning of the format because all these cards are going to get changed. But now that we've gone through all the changes, the updates, these are what the cards are going to look like for the foreseeable future unless they don't get approved. Okay, so Verena. She went through quite a few iterations, but I think she always had close quarters. Fighting knife was always there. Improvised cover was the big change, what we added, and that was like really hard. I think we tried a lot of stuff from like campaign. So we tried it like where if she was next to somebody, she could make the adjacent hostile figure take a damage so she could add a block. But that ended up being a little too strong when it worked and a little too situational when it wasn't available. When we figured out, let's make it objects and non-friendly figures, we really like that because, you know, every map has a terminal and a door usually that you can stick her next to, and she'll get cover from that. And then once she moves in close, she's getting cover from hostile figures. She was actually a late inclusion too in season 4. I think we had already voted and we were like, geez, I want to say like 2 months. I think it was in June. I think we voted in May, and then in June or July even, I think we were like, oh, Loku's in the list. Like, why did Verena get left out? Let's add her in too. So, talking about her competitively, I think her 11 health does look a little low for an 8-point figure. But if you include extra armor, and then if you just keep her on a terminal or on an objective, like 2 blocks and 1 evade on top of a black die is really, really strong. She's also a spy, so that's really good. She contributes to your spy count for comm disruption. And then her damage is quite good. Her attack is good. It doesn't have great range, so you have to be pretty close or be focused or have Hera. But that was kind of on purpose because we wanted to really encourage close quarters. And of course, for those that were paying attention since the release, close quarters has changed. It used to just be kind of the old thing, but we gave it a move 1 space to kind of incentivize it. Problem was she's got 3 dice attack. Like, you're only going to get a very marginal upgrade when you use it as far as your dice pool. Now it removes the target's defense die as well, and I think that has made it much stronger and a lot more incentivized to use it. You know, if you use her close quarters on something like, you know, Jedi Luke or Ezra, you don't have to worry about that dodge, and you're still getting your 3 dice attack. It's quite strong. So overall, where do I put Verena? You know, she's still an 8-point figure. I think if you either want the brawler or the spy if you're going to bring her. I don't know if you bring her just by herself. I think you really want that spy trait to matter. I think she would be a B+ as well. I think this is another card where it's like, she's good on her own, but she's really good, much better when you have the trait synergies to work with. You know, she's not like Han Solo where you're just gonna stick her in a list and give her like 1 or 2 command cards and she's gonna be great. She does need the support. She does need the command cards, but when you do bring it, she's really solid. She's just solid, like all around. She's good in close. She's good at range. She does. I think honestly though, I do think she needs extra armor, or else that health just gets the better of her. But if you put that extra armor token on her, she's great. B+ for Verena Talos. Next up, Jyn Erso. And I need to look at her command card as well. Let's see. So Jyn Erso, 7 points. A lot of you guys have seen her. She actually has not changed since she came out, which surprised me. But her command card did. So let's look at her real quick here. So she's got an important ability is Trust Goes Both Ways. I'm thinking, so she can recover a damage and give a figure a surge token. And that's each activation. She gives that to herself as well. She's actually been proven to be a really strong support figure. Rebel Sabs really love her. Diala loves working with her because Diala can strain herself to push something. And then Diala has all these great surge abilities, but she rolls red, green, green, which is not the most reliable for generating surges. So any figure really that has like really great surge abilities and maybe not the best way to generate them, I think really appreciates running with Jin. So Jin's attack is a little misleading, and I think people get thrown off by it a little bit. It's only 2 dice, but she can also use Tonfa Strike to make an additional attack with a red and a green. Still only 2 dice, but the important thing here is both of her attacks get automatic Pierce 1, and she's got 2 surges for +1 damage, and she's most likely going to have generated 2 surge tokens for herself. So she's probably going to be getting a natural surge, and then the surge she gets from her ability will give her an extra +1 damage. The trick is you want to make sure she's focused and got bloated up with those 2 surge tokens before you send her in. And if you do that, she's actually going to deal quite a lot of damage. That Pierce 1, is a force multiplier with 2 attacks. The other neat thing you can do is Tonfa Strike. You don't have to do the melee attack, and you still get to do the range attack. So if you wanted to, you could use it just to do the ranged attack, and that effectively makes her a speed 6 figure if she's attacking. Of course, if she's double moving, she still can only move 8. But she's very versatile, and her command card is also really good as well. First of all, it's immune to being strained. So if it gets discarded from the deck, you get to redraw it. So if you ever have this in your deck and you don't have anything super valuable like what do you call it, on the lam, or even if you just you can't afford to take damage from strain, if you have this in your deck and you mill it, it's awesome. It feels really good to mill this and then draw it. And if you do have those really important cards, it digs 3 cards down into your deck to look for them, and you get to put the cards you didn't take on the top or the bottom, so you get to set up your draws for the next round. So this card is quite good, and we changed this. It used to be a lot weaker. You had to reveal all the cards, and then you had to put them all on the bottom. We fixed that, and now Jin has been doing a lot better since we changed it. So Jin is really strong. She's a great hybrid figure, like a hybrid support combat figure. She can be a little tough to use because, if you don't know that you're supposed to get her loaded up with those surge tokens ahead of time, if you don't position her correctly, like if you send Jin off on her own without anybody to go with her to share tokens, she can struggle with doing damage. So I would give Jin, I'd give her a B definitely. I think, actually, you know what? No, I'm going to give her a B+. Because, yeah, she's just as good as these other 2. So another B+ for Jin Urso. Alright. Next up, we've got Rebel Saboteurs. Another spy group. This is an OG card from from Wave 1 of the original game. And we didn't do much to these guys. Like, we lowered their figure cost to 3. We gave them back their Blast 2. Increased accuracy to +4 instead of +3. And I think we increased their health by 1. They've been doing quite well, actually. They're not super powerful, but in the right list, like if you give them surges with either Jin Urso, or if you focus them up, give them rerolls with targeting computer, they just need a little bit of external help, and then they can do a ton of damage with Blast 2 if your opponent bunches up. The problem with these guys is if your opponent isn't bunching up together, they lose a lot of their utility because the Blast 2 is where a lot of their damage output comes from. Priority target, though, is really good. I would give these guys, I'd give them a B-. We actually had a debate whether or not they would be good enough just with these changes internally. Some of us wanted to really go all out and give them a really strong update, like give them focus and stuff, but we had heard from a lot of people in the community that they just wanted to see Sabs come back, like de-nerfed. For those who don't know, Saboteurs came out, they were very strong in the very beginning of the game, like 5 years ago, and they got nerfed by FFG. Their blast 2 was reduced down to blast 1. And so a lot of people now are saying, well, just give them back their original stats and they'd be fine probably. We didn't think that was quite enough, but we wanted to see if just, a little tweak, a couple tweaks here and there would fix them. And, they do really well. I love playing them with Heavy Fire. I think Heavy Fire is really underrated with cheap 2 dice figures like this, because you don't care if they get stunned and bleeding. All you care, they're sacrificial pawns. That extra 2 damage from a 1-point card is super sweet. That can't be blocked and can target anything, especially with priority target. It's really good. So if you're going to try these guys out, I would recommend trying them out with Heavy Fire and like Dracata, and when you're hope that your opponent bunches up together, and if they don't, just go for the Pierce 2 and the stun, and you just stun them and pin them down. They're very flexible figures, so I would give them a B-. I think I think they're quite good in the right circumstances and in the right list. All right, next we've got Lando. Lando is my favorite. This is a card, so for those who are interested, this guy came pretty late. I think I submitted this design like a week before we were going to decide which cards got included in the season. And I had an idea of what would somebody who gambles, like a gambling character do. Gambling character that focuses on dice, because that's where FFG went with the card. And I realized if you're a gambler, you know the odds, and if you know the odds, you can call the odds. Like you're a gambler is someone who is like a professional gambler, knows the statistics, knows the probabilities really well. And then I thought, well, that's kind of like what C3PO does. He calls all the probabilities. Like C3PO would be an amazing gambler. And then I thought of C3PO from X-Wing, the original X-Wing, where you guess a number. And I thought that would be perfect for Lando. Like, if you're a gambler, you can know all the dice. Like, you know the dice in and out, just like you know the deck in and out, like a deck of playing cards. So that's kind of where I got this idea for guessing a number. Shrewd Scoundrel was a lot different when I first designed it. So it was a lot more far-reaching. You could actually use Shrewd Scoundrel on any character's die, like any dice roll. Anytime somebody re-rolled a die, like even your opponent, you could guess a number. And if you got it right, you could I had it so you could either double it or so you could cancel the results. So like if your opponent re-rolled a die and you guessed correctly which number came up on the symbols, it would cancel that result. So stuff like, C3PO re-rolling, you just say, well, I'll guess 0, so that way if you roll a dodge, you don't get it. Needless to say, that was pretty broken. The steering committee, the rest of the steering committee, helped out a lot with getting Lando to where he was at the beginning of the season. The main changes we made were, of course, you can't use it on your opponent's die. That was ridiculous. Limiting it to 0 to 2, because guessing 3 on a red die just made things really ridiculous. Limiting, I think it was after we previewed it, actually, somebody pointed out, hey, with Battlefield Awareness, you can reroll somebody else's die when they're doing something like Pickpocket or Grenadier, and then Shrewd Scoundrel doesn't limit. You could use Shrewd Scoundrel on that and double like a Pickpocket blue die, and that was insanity. And we were like, oh my god, we didn't see that, because I didn't know about Battlefield Awareness. I never heard of that even being used with Lando. So we added, it's like, okay, it's only while you're attacking or defending, so none of that while somebody else is. Limit once per activation, so we made it so, it wasn't limits per activation. So like if you had external rerolls from like Hero Luke, you could use the Shrewd Scoundrel on multiple dice in an attack, and that was absurd. That got very absurd very quickly, so that got changed. As far as how he is now, he's excellent. He's got good stat. Like 8, he doesn't have good stats. It's just really Shrewd Scoundrel. Just makes everything better. His dice are better. His attack dice are better. Like, he's only 2 dice, but because of the way he can double things, it just makes his attack so much stronger. Great traits, of course. Leader and Smuggler are awesome. Treat to Win is an amazing command card. He's an A. Lando is just an A for me. I think I played with him. I've seen him played. It's funny that because people look at Lando and they see, oh, he's only got 2 attack dice. Oh, you made his +2 accuracy surge reliant. Oh, you took away the stun. And now it's like, oh, he still only has 8 health. Like, you guys didn't really fix him. But being able to double a die result 50% of the time is just so good. It's so powerful. And it makes Lando really strong. So yeah, Lando is an A. And alright, Loku. So Loku has probably been the most popular figure that came out of Season 4. He's got... this was one that I designed really early in Season 4 and submitted. And I think there was like one revision where we changed it so it can only target hostile or unique figures. And we changed it. It was +1 damage and +2 accuracy. And that was a little absurd, so we changed it to just be Pierce 1. And that's still been very strong. Loku is kind of like an anti-Queen Piece figure is what he's been described as. So, and a lot of people have gotten a little tired of the Queen Piece meta. So Loku's a fantastic addition for people who want to be able to be like, oh, you've got one giant figure on your side of the board, like Vader or Weiss or something, okay, I'm going to put a recon token on it, and now all of my attacks are way stronger against it, and including Loku, who gets focused. Loku, I was really happy with how he turned out. I like that we made a 2 dice figure at 5 points that conditionally can be good. There's a lot of like positioning, jockeying for position, where hit mind games of like, oh, I'm going to put this recon token on this guy, and now your opponent's like, well, I don't want to put that guy in danger, so they keep them back, but that prevents them from getting their full value out of that card. And Loku's just been fantastic. He has seen a ton of play as just a really strong 5-point figure. Adding Hunter to him was inspired. It means he gets to pump up that attack. With Hunter cards, it gives Hunter synergy to Rebels where it was lacking. So like Sabine and Biv really were lacking that kind of cheap Hunter figure that Scum had, like Greedo or Vinto. And Loku brings that to the table. He's also seen a lot of play in Scum lists as well. And yeah, I think Loku's just an A. He is an A. He just does so much. And honestly, like, I still don't think Loku is better than Jin Odon at 5 points. I think Jin Odon like brings a lot for 5 points in terms of let's look at her. In terms of like the extra attack, the stun, she's got a stronger attack profile than Loku when she's not attacking somebody with a recon token. Cunning, Sidewinder, she's got Smuggler trait. That's what I really wanted. I was like, I don't want to just one-up Jin Odon because she's already so strong. How can we make a figure who's 5 points that isn't Jin Odon, that can compete with Jin Odon, but isn't stronger than her? And so I think we really found a good niche for Loku with that, as far as being like a support figure for the rest of the list. Spy, of course, brings the spy trait. Yeah, Loku is an A. So that's it for Rebels. Let's go through the Season 4 Imperial Command cards, starting with a card that actually came from Season 3. So ISB Infiltrators. This card was a Season 3 card. Or I'm sorry, I should say Infiltrators were in Season 3, but they didn't quite work out. They just didn't work out for us. So this one we actually turned to the community for help. after season 3, after these guys didn't make it through the approval process, we put out a post in Zion's Finest Slack channel, and we asked people like, hey, what would you want to see in ISBs? Like, what abilities do you think would be good on them? I think the main one we got from the community that we added was in the shadows. People were like, it sucks that they only are hidden temporarily. They should just be hidden all the time. That would be amazing. And we really liked it. So in the shadows came up. I had always wanted to have comms jammer on a card. This was an ability that I had previously had on Zuckus, actually. Before I joined the steering committee, I was making custom cards just for fun. One of my custom cards was Zuckus, and I gave him a ability just like this, where your opponent can't play command cards while you're attacking them. And I decided we went even further for this one and said you can't play command cards during your activation. And there's a good reason for that. And the reason for that is because Derek, steering committee member, came up with this awesome idea for changing coordinated raid. And we had so many ideas. We were like brainstorming like crazy. Like, what can we do a coordinated raid to make it better? Because it's just such an awkward ability on the vanilla ISB. And Derek came up with this idea of, well, what if we make it any figure with figure cost 4 or less? So, like, not just figures in the group, but any figure on the map, any figure in the list, as long as it costs 4 or less. And that turned out to be really good. We ended up having to actually add a range restriction to it, so 4 spaces, which we felt like, that was like Emperor Palpatine. 4 spaces it's not too restrictive, but it's not so crazy that you can coordinate to somebody across the map. We also added the Empire symbol there because it was scary to let Greedo I think just Greedo was the main concern with letting him get an attack off for free with this. But it's been really good. It's engendered a very interesting list archetype of just generic 4-point figures, like a swarm of 4-point figures with jets and other 4-point troopers. And they've been doing quite well. So as far as a grade, I just give them a straight up B. Like, I think their attack, we also messed with their attack profile. We improved that. So I think they used to have like Surge for Pierce 1, Surge for Hide, or Surge for Pierce 1 and Hide, something like that. So we just buffed up all these Surge abilities to make use of that automatic hidden. We updated them so that if you use them with Lion Ambush, they get to be hidden when they get deployed. Like, yeah, I think they're super solid figures now, and I'm really happy with how they ended up. Let's talk about Shore Troopers. So, Shore Troopers, the main challenge with these guys, and we'll talk about Mortars in just a second, because these guys came first. So Mortars came before, Shore Troopers came first, then Mortars came along a little later in the design process. The main goal with the Shore Troopers was, how do we make like a generic-ish trooper that's slightly different, but that's not the same, but that's also can compete, but isn't just a straight power creep on. So when we started, these were actually 7 points with 3 figures in a group and 3 cost. And we also had Krennic as well, who we'll talk about in just a moment. But Krennic was available when these were first designed and play tested within the steering committee. And we just realized Isaac was running like Krennic with 2 stormtroopers and one of these guys, and it's really hard to balance 3 figure groups, because you're just getting these uninterrupted chains of activations against your opponent, and the tempo is so punishing. Like, the tempo advantage of getting to activate a figure over and over again before your opponent can do anything. We realized we didn't really want to have any more 3-figure groups, at least not with these guys. So we swapped, and we're like, okay, let's look at a two figures in a group, 7-4, but because they should be elite, but how do we make them competitive with jet troopers without, again, being better than jet troopers. Like, there's the power creep problem, right? Like, jet troopers are so good and they're slightly above the power curve, and so we want people to have a reason to play these, but we don't want them to just be more powerful than jets. So part of that was figuring out their dice attack, and part of it was Jake Peterson came up with the idea of including the mortar trooper as an attachment for them. And if you look at, so I think I designed the shore troopers. I did this most recent design, and I was like, okay, we've got this really fancy, flashy mechanic that we're adding. Let's just make the shores as simple as we can, but like really efficient. And I think we found that. So of course, squad training gives them reroll. Efficient travel with 5 speed means they're like blisteringly fast compared to a lot of the other troopers in the game. And then a red and a green die with surge for +2 and innate +2. We really messed around a lot with the damage calculator on these guys to try and get them. So they're in a spot where, you know, at range 2, they're not going to beat a jet trooper as far as damage output goes. But at range 3 and further, and, you know, they can do minimum range 3, and with a reroll and a green die with the innate surge for innate +2 and surge for +2, you should feel comfortable attacking at about range 5 if you've got the reroll. These do hit harder than jets at range 5, so that was kind of the balancing point, and I think we did a good job with, you know, their speed 5 and efficient travel, which is not quite as good as mobile with flyby for the 2 points. But it sometimes is. Like, sometimes it's just as good, if not better, than the jet's movement. And sometimes their attack is better than the jet trooper's attack. So it's about a wash. And I've actually seen people bring these just on their own without the mortar trooper instead of jet troopers, which made me really happy. I think they're quite good if you want like a mid-range attacking trooper. So let's talk about the mortar trooper. Yeah, this one was crazy. Oh, shore troopers grade C+. Yeah, I'm gonna give them a C+. I think I think most of the time you're still gonna just want jets. I think the main time you want shores is with something like Krennic. Something where you don't have the vehicle support, and you also don't want to be like bum rushing your opponent, and you're looking for a trooper that can attack at range but with a decent attack. I think that's where these guys fill in the bill, but that's a pretty narrow niche. So yeah, I'm gonna give them a C+ on power level. No, you know what? Let me change that. I'm gonna give them a B. They're a B. They're just a B. So the mortar trooper is different though. Design wise, this was an interesting one. Originally we had all these different ideas. We were gonna be like, well, what if we make it like a deployment group, but it has to activate with the shore troopers? And then we were like, well, why don't we just make an attachment, and then we'll make it add a figure. I think I was pretty staunchly on the just make it an attachment. But I think a lot of people were like, well, it's confusing because you have to write out a bunch of text on the card, which did fit, honestly. I had made a mock-up where it fit, but people were like, you know, we could put so much more onto like an FAQ page if we make just make this its own mechanic and be like, we'll just write the mechanic squad upgrade on the card, and then people can go look at the rules page for what is a squad upgrade and what does it do. And then we don't have to put it all on the card, which I think is fair. Like, I think that's a fair trade-off. It did cause a lot of confusion in the beginning, but we did get it all kind of ironed out. So now everybody knows what a squad upgrade does. The FAQ is pretty clear on what it is and is not. There's a lot of different things. Like, we were like, oh man, just figuring out the rules for like what is the figure cost of a figure on a squad upgrade if it's not the same as like the figure cost of the base group. And that was just a nightmare trying to go through all the rules and like reading all these different rules from different places in the rule book and the FAQ. What does the figure cost mean? Like, what is the deployment cost? What happens when a figure is defeated? Oh my god. And we just are like, okay, we just have to make it so that we kind of have to make it so that all squad upgrades match the points cost of their base group, or else it's just going to be too confusing. And by the way, there is a lot of talk in the committee about how we want to use squad upgrades. Like for the future, this is definitely like an option we have in our toolbox. Like for upgrading old units, like we could, or taking old figures and making them a squad upgrade to put into a different group. Like there's some really interesting stuff you can do with squad upgrades. It's just they're so complicated if you're not really careful about how you implement them. So anyway, going back to the mortar trooper, Jake Peterson came up with this idea for fire mission so that you can draw a line of sight to a target without actually needing line of sight if you use the base group. So the shore troopers become your spotters. And I think we all were like, yeah, that's awesome. Let's do that. We really wanted to be careful, though, about not creating negative play experiences for people where they can't reach the mortar trooper. So getting the accuracy right was really tough. And I don't think we really did. I think it started off at like blue, yellow. And with like the +2 accuracy built in, and then it was like on certain maps they were able to shoot people's terminal with this on round 1, which is not fun. So then it like we took away the +2 accuracy, but then it wasn't accurate enough, so then we made it blue green instead of blue yellow. And then I think it came out with blue green with no accuracy bonuses. And people were like, I can't hit anything with this. It only goes out to like range 6 or 8 most of the time. And then we were like, okay, we gave the accuracy back. We gave the accuracy surge back. So it basically has the same ability as the shore trooper, which is where it started off in design, which I thought was interesting. And then the other funny thing that happened during design was we realized on certain maps, like on Endor Defense Station, the upper part, you actually can't move this thing out of the deployment zone because it's a 2x2 figure and it doesn't have mobile like most other 2x2s like ATRT and the Nexu. And so I recommended that, some people were like, let's just give it mobile, but mobile felt weird on a figure like this when considering what mobile represents. So we came up with the new ability, and I named it Hull. And I like the name Hall. I think it's a great name for an ability. Basically, they can pull themselves out of that area if they spend enough movement points. So that kind of fixed that problem. Competitively, I think people are still figuring out how to use them and how to put them in a list. I still see people jamming them like 2 in a list or something, or like a mortar and an E-web in a list, and I think you don't want that. I think you just want one like piece of stationary weaponry in your list and then a bunch of troopers. That was the other interesting thing, by the way. Like we were testing with whether it should just use any trooper's line of sight or its own figures. We tried it with any trooper and I think it was pretty broken. And then with the 2 just using the shore troopers, there was more counterplay, and I think we liked that a lot better. But yeah, I think if you're going to build a list with this, you really just want the one mortar and use that as kind of like your support fire piece to kind of deal incidental damage to the opponent while you're closing in on them. And yeah, interestingly, I don't think it synergizes well with Empire's main strategy of like getting in close. Because if you have figures that want to get in close, then that makes your opponent want to hang back, which makes them less susceptible to this. I think this goes really well with figures where you want to hang back and kind of make a block, and I think they call it a gun line in Legion. Make a gun line that can shoot at your opponent, and they are incentivized to come to you, and then you've got the mortar will be able to hit them harder. Yeah, I think in general, I think the mortar is just hard to use, and I think it's a lot of fun, but it's one of those niche pieces where it's like we don't really want a figure that can shoot from the deployment zone to be like super strong. And I don't speak for the committee on that. That is just kind of my take. I know a lot of people in the committee want everything to be strong, so personally, I will give the mortar trooper a C+. I think it's fine. I think it can do well in the right list, in the right circumstances. I don't know that it's a super competitive piece. I think the shores are actually much more interesting. And the mortar trooper, it can tag along for 4 points. It's not that much. So C+ for the mortar trooper. Let's talk about Krennic. He's kind of an important piece for Season 4. So Krennic was Isaac's design. Isaac came up with this design for this figure. We had multiple Krennics being run early on in Season 4. And I think we all kind of agreed, even the people who had their own Krennic designs, that this one was the most fun. And Krennic creates this play style where you have like kind of a mothership that all your swarm ships kind of swarm around for bonuses and to protect the mothership. And that playstyle ended up being really fun in testing. We were like, oh, this is great. Like, if you can't kill Krennic, like, you are going to get torn apart by your opponent's troopers. But if you can get in there and sneak in a kill on Krennic, who's not very durable, then the trooper list kind of falls apart, and they lose a lot of their firepower. So this guy was really fun. He's not like Thrawn, who can just kind of sit in the deployment zone or sit on the terminal, and hangs out until the coast is clear to come out. He has to be pretty close to his the figures that he's supporting, unlike Thrawn, and so that makes him a lot more interesting positioning wise. And of course, since he's got such an affiliation with Death Troopers, we had him supporting Troopers and Guardians. Kind of a continuation on Season 3, which supported Guardians. We had figures in Season 4 that also supported Guardians. The templating on this one was weird. It ended up being super powerful in testing because we didn't have the surge cost to begin with. We just had the thing that boosted, added an extra damage when they spent a damage token, or vice versa for a surge token. And with all the cards that make surge or damage tokens, like power tokens, it was just a straight +1 damage to a lot of trooper attacks. And we were like, this is fun, but it's kind of broken. It was a little broken. And that's when we decided, well, let's have them suffer a strain because, trooper lists have a lot of extra HP. It's just all spread out. And the thing that makes trooper, especially Imperial trooper lists, kind of a headache to deal with is when, you attack one and they Zillow and they play an extra card, and then the 5 health trooper lives with 1 health remaining, and then you got to spend another resource to deal with it. By making them take a bunch of strain, and also his command card does this as well. Then that kind of, usually you don't, it's a lot of strain to be taking if you're using this on every attack, so they're going to just start taking it as damage because these are, exploitable figures. Or not exploitable, what am I saying? Disposable figures. And that kind of makes the thing where they like live with 1 health left after you attack them happen less often. So we found that to be a good trade-off. It also was mentally taxing to the player using it, we found. So like having to make all these decisions about, are you going to take the strain as damage, or are you going to pitch a card for it, increased the difficulty of play, which we liked as sort of a crutch for being so powerful. Also, interestingly, we had the this isn't that interesting, but the names on the abilities were switched at one point. When he first designed him, Advanced Weapons Research was the bottom ability, and we had Unhinged Director at the top, but we suggested that we switch it. I just think that's interesting. Speaking of his command card, this one was a bit controversial. I think a lot of people didn't like it at first when They were like, wait, what? I have to have my figure suffer strain to play this? Like, can't I just choose which ones to suffer strain? And we were like, no, man, Krennic is Krennic. If you watch the movie, he yells at all of those people in that room. He screams at them. And if you're part of Krennic's retinue, like, you're going to get screamed at and you're going to work harder for it. So I really like this. I think it fit really well into Krennic's theme. And it's also just super powerful, like, works well with his ability. Perfect package. Yeah, I think Krennic's great. He definitely... And he also contributes to the swarm mentality. He really helps with swarm play. But he helps with swarm play that's different from, like, jet troopers. Because, again, to benefit from his ability, you have to stay close to him. And that means that, you know, you have to be around. You have to be close to him. He doesn't want to get too close to the opponent. So stuff like row guards, jet troopers, like, you don't really want to use them with Krennic. And they were already popular. Riot troopers. So stuff that has good accuracy is what you want. So stormtroopers, death troopers, shore troopers, the stuff that doesn't get played quite as much because they don't do quite as well at close range. I give Krennic, I'll give him a B. I think he's solid. I think you need to run him in the right list, and I think you need to run him smart, but he is a solid B. All right, let's talk about the eWeb. How are we doing on time here? So eWeb Engineer did go down from, I think, 8 points to 5. Yeah, eWeb has been interesting. The card itself, so there's two parts of the eWeb, of course. There's the base eWeb, which got a bit of a boost with the movement, but really you don't want to just run the base eWeb. If you're going to run it, you're going to run it with either Overwatch or with Lion Ambush. Now, Overwatch has been really interesting. I have definitely played it, and it's really strong, actually. Like, being able to interrupt your opponent so that, you know, when they try to come out to get you, because that's really the thing that hurts eWebs, right? Is the peekaboo strategy that people use, where their figures are hiding, they activate a figure, they pop it out, they take a shot at you, and then they pop back out of line of sight. And of course the eWeb can't activate in the middle of all that to take a shot, so the eWeb's always stuck without a shot, but usually stuck out in the open. Overwatch fixes that, where you can be like, okay, if you're gonna pop out to shoot me, I know you're gonna have to move through this area, so I'm gonna place the Overwatch token here, and then you get a shot. And actually, it's been pretty good. Like, you can pin people down with it in weird ways. And the only problem with the eWeb is, you know, sometimes that attack just doesn't quite work well. I mean, it's decent 3 dice attack with good accuracy, good surge for damage, but without a way to reliably focus the eWeb, it can be a little rough. I think where it really works well is with Lion Ambush. With David Gow's been running a list with this, with eWeb and Lion Ambush. He talked about it on his podcast. Basically, you run 4-act list with, like, Vader and 2 jet troopers, and then at the end of round 2, you're guaranteed to have the last activation, because you only have 3 activations on the table, and that's when Lion Ambush deploys. So you deploy this guy in their deployment zone, and then you attack twice, and then you play a Call of Vanguard, and then you're going to have initiative in round 3 because you had initiative in round 1. So you attack twice again. So 5 attacks all in a row, all 3 dice attacks, pretty nasty, and I think that's where this guy's been doing really well. With that in mind, I would have to give the eWeb eWeb and Overwatch. I would give the eWeb a C and the Overwatch a C+. Next one. So now we just have the 2 reprints. So General Soren. General Soren has been doing really well, you guys. Like, it's crazy. He's had 70% win rate in the league so far, and he's been just doing really well. Sentry droids love him. The tank loves him. Weiss loves him. Oh, you know what? I mean, Jets are really good with him. It's funny though, because we thought, well, he's pretty squishy. Like, he's just as squishy as Krennic is, so it's not like he's going to want to hang with the jet troopers up in the opponent's face, but we've actually kind of seen that where, you put advanced communications device on him so he can reach out to range 3, and then you just kind of tuck him up there with the pretty close in, and then activate the jet troopers, and jet troopers really love having that extra surge for +1 damage, and of course surge for focus. But sentries really love him the most. Just having all those extra surge abilities, they can attack from range, so they don't have to put Soren in danger. That being said, he's a build around. You really want him for a certain list type, which is something that we really did on purpose. Like, we didn't want to just make a bunch of good generic figures that are good stuff. We wanted to make figures that would create new list types for Imperial Assault. And I think with that being in mind, I'll give him a B+. Just, I've seen him in action and I've seen his numbers. He doesn't look that impressive on paper, honestly. Although he does give an attack out to range 3, which is comparable to, and that's to any figure. That's comparable to Palpatine for just 5 points. So, yeah, I'd give Soren a B+. I think he's doing really well. I think if you want to play a vehicle or droid list, Soren is your man. And definitely check him out. And finally, for Empire, we have Agent Blaze. So, Agent Blaze went down 1 point to 5 points. I haven't really seen much going on with Agent Blaze. I've heard people who played him say they're happy with him. They like him. He does the same thing he's always done. He doesn't really have anything to interrogate in the current meta, I don't think. You can interrogate the senators, I guess. But it's not like the old times where you have doors that you can attack on round 1. Giving a trooper spy hidden is decent. Like, that could be good with like a jet trooper or a death trooper. But yeah, I don't have much for Blaze. He just seems like he's a decent solid piece at 5 points with a 3-die attack with, spy trait is good. I just give him a C+. Yeah, there wasn't much. So the big discussion in design with these guys, with specifically Blaze and with Soren and with Krennic, was how many points do we make them? And the big thing was, well, we don't want them to be 4 points, because if you make Blaze 4 points, he turns into like an Imperial Greedo, where you just always take him in every Empire list, just because he's a really good attacker for 4 points, and because it makes it really easy to get a Vader list to 8 activations without having to give up firepower for officers. Because right now, if you want to get an 8-act Vader list, you're giving up a lot just to spam officers or like regular death troopers. So if you give them a 4-point figure like Blaze, that increases the activation count for Vader lists while also maintaining like a strong offensive presence per figure. So keeping it at 5 points was really important, but I think Blaze was actually at that level. 5 points is really good. C+ for Blaze. All right, last faction. We're almost there, you guys. I appreciate you humoring me. I've wanted to do a set review like this for a long time for one of the waves. It's just, things were going on. Also, it just feels weird to do it when the cards are changing constantly. So, IG-11. Excuse me. This guy changed a lot. This was Chris Emick's design. His baby, basically. Chris Emick, I looked through the chat in our Slack, in our private Slack, and the thing he said from the beginning was he wanted it to be 9 points, cheaper than IG-88. He wanted it to have rapid fire, and he wanted it to go boom when he died. And those were the main things. And you actually add like a healing action when we in the first design, but in playtesting, his attack really, they felt like he really needed like a reroll. He always had rapid fire. He always had self-destruct protocol. He started at 2 dice. Then we added a +1 damage, and that felt okay. But of course, when we released him in 4.0, the community wasn't too happy about his performance, so we gave him an extra die. So now he's a 3-die attacker with a reroll that can attack twice. I mean, he's not too far off from Han Solo, to be honest. The only thing holding this back, like if you compared this to Han Solo for 9 points to 10 points with the +1 block, same amount of health, 2 attacks with blue, green, green, easy access to focus, a reroll, almost the same surge abilities, like better speed. You would think that this is just straight up better than Han, but the difference is, of course, is the traits. So IG is just a little bit held back by his traits because he doesn't have a hunter or smuggler trait. He does have the guardian trait, which we thought was pretty good coming out of season 3. That gives him access to Iron Will, gives him access to parry, and of course gives him access to Get Behind Me. All great cards, but that's the main difference between him and IG-88, because they do feel similar in a lot of ways, like rapid fire and assault. Rapid fire feels pretty similar to assault and the 2 free movement points. They've got 3 dice, but of course IG is a bit more of a sniper and he's faster. IG-88 hits harder, he's got the hunter trait, and he's got relentless. So that's kind of the big difference. And of course the other big difference is IG-11 blows up when he dies. This is actually the ability we had at the beginning when we first were playtesting. I didn't like that he could move so far. It made it very unpleasant to play against, but then it turns out that's kind of the point. It should be not easy for your opponent to get around it. And so we went back to the original wording, which also let it be used as last resort, which was a big contention within the steering committee of like, should we let this work with last resort? Is that too strong? Turns out it's not really. So that's IG-11's story. As far as the figure goes, I think he's quite good. I think you can snipe with him. I think he's a great sniper. He's got amazing accuracy. Great command card, the 1-point card that makes all of his attacks focused for a single rapid fire, so 2 focused attacks. And since he's a guardian, that means he gets to play one of the other cards that came out, Clan of 2, which really buffs his defense and gives him access to recovery. So honestly, I think Guardian is kind of a pro for him. It's not just a downfall or a downgrade from Hunter. I think he gets a lot of props for being a Guardian. I'm actually going to give him an A-. I think IG-11 is a fantastic figure that goes into a lot of lists. I have actually been using him as like a budget IG-88. Like every time I think, well, do I want IG-88 for this list? Oh, I can just get IG-11 for 9 points and get a lot of the same utility. He doesn't get Blaze of Glory. He doesn't have Hunter cards again. But if I'm looking for like a multi-firing defensive queen piece, I think IG-11 is a great figure. So A- for IG-11. Next up is Bosk. So Bosk was another one that I designed. The original idea was, I wanted him to, I wanted to consolidate the action economy for indiscriminate fire and his attack, because that was what always sucked with original Bosk is, excuse me, just having to figure out whether you're going to use indiscriminate fire or attack with him, or having to include all these weird ways in your command deck or in your list to allow him to be able to move into position and use both the attack and indiscriminate fire. It was just such a headache to have to do that all the time. So I just wanted to be like, well, let's just give him both with one action. And so that's how that original design came about. And then I really liked the way that what's her name? Tress. So Tress has an ability where you count the number of what do you call it? You count the number of surges she gets when she rolls, and then her abilities do different things depending on that. But of course, she has a reroll. It turns out it wasn't quite good enough. Like, it was good in testing, and then we had to put a cap on it because it felt like being able to do like 6 strain to 6 different figures at once was too crazy. But we put the 2 strain on it. The problem was people were selling us like it's not proccing at all. We're not getting even 1 strain half the time, even when we focus him. And so I went back and looked at the old Bosk, and then that's when I thought, oh, why don't we just give him his old indiscriminate fire? That way it's a guarantee that you're going to get something, like you never whiff, and it hews closer to the original Bosk's ability, and it still feels like indiscriminate fire. Where, like, that was the other thing I was going for, is the flavor of indiscriminate fire is like you're just kind of spray and pray, right? You spray at the opponent, the target, and you kind of hit whatever is around them. So that was what I was going for with Bosk. We also increased the health to 11. I think he's quite good, actually. Like, I think there's still some concern about Bosk, whether he's good enough. I've also heard, rumblings of like, well, maybe he's not good enough. Maybe he's too good. Maybe being able to do 2 damage to every figure within 2 spaces of the target is too strong against swarms. But I like that he's kind of an option for scum players to take if swarms do become really strong, because of course we do have Krennic. We've got more stuff coming up in season 5. Swarms is something that people have asked us to make better, and we're trying to do that without making them a negative play experience, which swarms often end up being. But that also means we have to include answers. We have to give each faction different answers to deal with swarms. So Bosk is still one of those. He's also just great. He brings brawler synergy to scum. So with, some of the other figures we're going to talk about in season 4, brawlers, he hits really hard with his attack, especially if he's focused. He's great for playing parting blow, especially with regenerates. Let's get rid of the stun. But I will give Bosk a B+. I think he's strong enough that if you have a list that wants him, he's good to take. And if you're worried about swarms or dealing with like masked figures or box lists, by the way, like, MHD style lists that like to crowd around into a box, Bosk is your man to kill the box. So B+ for Bosk. Home stretch here. Mandalorian. This one was also Chris's design, Chris Emick. And by the way, did I not mention? Is there anyone I didn't mention? Mortar Trooper was Chris Emick. Oh, no, sorry, not Mortar Trooper. Overwatch and E-Web was Chris Emick. He really wanted to bring that to everybody. Blaze was Jesse. Soren, I don't remember who wanted Soren. Verena was me and Chris Emick. ATRT was Jake Peterson. Yeah, okay, that's it. Anyway, okay, so Chris Emick brought this, but it changed a lot. So I think when his original design, he had the Beskar armor as is, and he had the wrist flamethrower, but it was pay 1 movement point to do the flamethrower. And then he was a 2 dice attack figure that also had rapid fire, I think because he was trying to depict him as like a gunslinger. And then he also had like a double action ability that was to perform 1 attack, and you get like Pierce 2 and a bunch of accuracy, which was supposed to be his sniper rifle. So he changed a lot. He was also 9 points when he first was submitted. He changed a lot. The flamethrower we thought was too strong for just 1 movement point, so we changed it to require an action. Then we realized, it's a little too high. An action cost is too high for an 8 or 9 point figure back then. So then we thought, let's give him, move up to 2 spaces is kind of like costing half an action. So that worked out really well. Disruptor rifle. Let's talk about the power tokens. So we thought that 2 block tokens wasn't quite good enough of a defense, but we didn't want to let him add that to like an innate +1 block. So I think it was Chris that eventually came up with this idea, or maybe Derek, to have him be able to regain his armor tokens with surges, so kind of like how he repairs his armor in battle. And we thought that was pretty flavorful and also like fixed the problem of giving him enough defense. And then finally, the disruptor rifle. So this one was really interesting. Derek actually came up with the idea to have the ability, like, look at, I think I originally suggested, like, well, it disintegrates people. Why don't we just make it like instantly defeat low cost figures? But that ended up being not fun or interesting. So not a great design on my part, but I was trying to be flavorful. Derek came up with the idea of like, well, what if it defeats people after the attack if they're at like a certain health? So I think we started with 2, and it actually defeated the figure instead of currently it just deals the damage. We had to figure out all the templating. It turns out there's no such thing as like partial health in Imperial Assault. Your health is just this number at the bottom of the card, and you have to reference like damage minus or health minus damage or whatever. But then we decided to make it like if it's at 1 health, it defeats the figure. But then we realized, well, if you do that, that figure can't use like dying lunge, parting shot, second chance, miracle worker. Like a bunch of these cards fail if you just defeat the figure without actually dealing damage to it. I thought there was actually like a good, like, I thought that actually worked really well just to have a counter to these kind of cards. It made it relevant a lot more often. However, some folks on the committee were like, well, if we do this, people are not going to like it. People are going to be unhappy that it interacts this way with a lot of these cards that people like to play. I think that was the argument for it, was that there would be pushback from the community if we did it that way. So we decided to change it so it just deals damage. Still gets through stuff like Zillow really well. You know, Zillow is notorious for like keeping figures alive with 1 health. And then also if you're gonna survive with 1 health, you have to use Zillow to survive with 2. So works really well against Zillow, and also just a nice little flavor. I think that's it. So, oh yeah, and he's a guardian, of course, because look, he's protecting little baby Yoda. I think the most controversial thing with this card in development was what to name him. I think we were pretty evenly split down the middle of like, one group wanted him to be called Din Djarin, and the rest of us wanted him to be called the Mandalorian. And then figuring out the subtitle as well was really hard. We had a bunch of different names everybody wanted. We eventually had a vote, and Mandalorian we decided was the best. Honestly, and Mandalorian is the name of the show. It's the name of the character that everybody calls him in the show until the finale, season finale. So, went with the iconic choice. As far as how strong is he, he's great. Mando's great. You got a lot of different tricks with him. I think, let's see, the Whistling Birds. Mandalorian. He's got his command card is a lot better now than it was when it first came out, since it also grants movement. And he's a hunter, unlike IG-11, so he gets to play hunter cards. He's got a lot of cool tricks. He doesn't get the weaken that Boba Fett gets, and I think we did that on purpose. Like, this is another one where it's like, we don't want him to just be Boba Fett, but cheaper. So that's why he doesn't weaken with the flamethrower. I would give him an A- to go with IG-11. Yeah, A- for Mandalorian. Fantastic figure. Next one is Trandoshan Hunters. So these guys are a little controversial. So in testing, the first thing I did with these guys is I gave them regenerate, and I gave them 1 more health and lowered them to 8 points, because 8 points feels just right. With 9 health and regenerate, we were like, okay, they're definitely too durable. So we brought them back down to 8 health. And then after that, we were like, okay, well, they die like really fast. Like if you shoot at them at 8 with 8 health and a black die, they just die. What regenerate did was it was like, well, if they take incidental damage, like from a flamethrower or a blast or something like that, they shrug it off, which made them really good because, you know, a lot of times incidental damage will add up. And let's see what's going on with my stream here. Anyway, incidental damage will add up and it will make a figure like really easy to kill with something like Hera or I don't know, Gideon can finish them off. And they were kind of immune to that. So then it turns out if you put them in Imperial lists with Zillow and extra armor, they become really annoying with the Recover 2. It turns out I think the big thing I learned from these guys is that when you take an ability from an 8-point figure and then put it on a 4-point figure with multiples, like if you don't change that ability, it gets a lot stronger on a cheap figure than on an expensive figure. And we kind of learned that too with like Royal Guards. You know, we took that +1 evade on a 5-point figure is really annoying compared to if it was on like a 10-point figure. The other thing was the search for +1 damage. That came about later on in their design because I think Jake was pointing out that like, why would you play these over weak weight pirates? Their attack is very inconsistent. Even when you get close, that Pierce 2 means they can't really surge for anything against the Zillow technique. And then we were like, well, do we give them a reroll? What should we do? And then it was like, oh, let's put +1 damage on that bleed surge. Makes the bleed also more relevant. So I think that was really good, and we decided we really wanted to keep that. We really liked how the harmful condition removal from Regenerate worked with like Parting Blow, but the Recover 2 just had to go. It's too strong. As they are right now, honestly, I think they're fine. Like, I think you put these guys with Lion Ambush, they're going to hit just as hard as they did before we took away the Recover 2. I am going to give these guys an A-, actually. I think they are quite strong still. So yeah, with Lion Ambush, they're hunters. They're brawlers, so they can play Parting Blow and Grizzly Contest. Like, these are good. All right, last 2 cards we're going to talk about. Let's talk about Clan of 2 first. So this is a 2-part card, of course. It's an attachment that gives you the child as a companion. And the child as a companion can recover damage and discard a harmful condition. And then it has this whole thing about, removes a die, becomes incapacitated. This card was Chris Emick's baby, literally. And it just was giving me fits, like trying to figure out how to design this card for him. He had a bunch of ideas. He tried to template it. We tried to template it. He really wanted it to be like passed around between figures. So like you could actually take, if you picked up the child, you would actually get the attachment with it and put it on your figure's card. It was just too nuts to like figure out how to put attachments onto like an opponent's figure, and then what to do if like both players had Clan of 2 and then one player stole the other player's Clan of 2, and then what do? You got 2 unique cards in the same list, and then it's a mess. That was crazy. So instead we kind of went with this last ability of when you're defigured, you gain 1 VP. And originally the child didn't have this force exhaustion. He had 2 actions. He had force heal, which was like just a heal, but I think it was 2 damage. And then he had force stun, which was like an adjacent hostile figure becomes stunned. And then we're like, we don't want any more stun. That's that easy. So we made it like a force choke. I think force squeeze was the one I went with. It was like 1 damage and 1 strain. But in playtesting, our committee playtesters were like, this is awful. Like, it doesn't do anything. It just dies right away. We had to add the clause that prevents it from suffering. Ooh, that's a spoiler. Prevents it from suffering damage. But then we really wanted it to have a strain cost on the action, so we had to let it suffer damage sometimes. And yeah, so luckily we got rid of the strain cost. The force exhaustion That came way later because we were like, this is not generating enough value for 1 point, and we want people to really be able to play this. Derek came up with this idea based on kind of that scene from The Mandalorian of the Mudhorn, where it attacks him and then Baby Yoda like stops it in its tracks. He's like, well, what if we have it so when a hostile figure attacks you, what if you could like deplete this to stun them? Which is a really cool idea. The two problems with it was stun doesn't work that way, and a 1-point card that can by itself invalidate an entire attack was a little too strong. But it really put us in the right direction. It was really a clever idea because that put us in the direction of like, okay, well, it doesn't have to negate the whole attack. We'll just take away what if we take away a die? Like, and then it's like, well, it sucks if you get to choose the die that gets taken away, like with doubt plus tough luck, it's going to make a bunch of attacks miss, which is basically the same thing. And then we didn't like that. We thought that would be really annoying to play against. So we're like, okay, let's let the attacker choose the die to get taken away. Give the attacker some agency. That ended up being a little too weak. And they're like, okay, well, let's make him weakened. So that way he loses a surge and loses attack die of their choice. And that ended up playing really well. The problem came when we thought, okay, if we deplete the child's companion card, then Clan of Two no longer has anything to reference when it's trying to do all of its stuff. Because when you deplete something, you flip it face down. So we were like, oh, well, what do? We can't deplete Clan of Two because that does the same thing. So deplete was not working. So we ended up going with, I was looking through it and I thought, oh, incapacitated. Like, that's a rule. That's an actual rule from the game. It doesn't flip the card over. It does what we want, which is the child can't use abilities anymore. There was a little pushback in the committee of people saying, like, nobody knows what this rule is. Even in campaign, nobody understands what it does. The rules in the rule book were not great for incapacitated. You know, a lot of it had to be explained outside, like from FFG employees, but I pushed really hard for incapacitated because I thought it just does perfectly what we needed and we can just clarify the rules for people. I'm glad we did. I think it works well. Once you explain to people how it works, it's pretty simple. It's like, you know, if it's incapacitated, he can't do anything. That's all you need to know. Can't move, can't use abilities, can't be attacked, can't suffer damage. And then finally, yeah, we changed this. We got rid of the strain. So actually, the Clan of Two and the child are pretty strong right now, I think. Because he's just that free source of recovery and getting rid of harmful conditions. Like, you know, he makes a lot of figures a lot better. Like if you put him on Mandalorian can all of a sudden use to the limit with like whistling bird, so you can do whistling birds into flamethrower into push or to the limit to use an attack, and then after he's done, child comes up and just gets rid of that stun. Like, yeah, I think Clan of Two is actually an A right now, and I'm glad because, you know, we want it. The child is probably the most popular thing to come out of Star Wars in the last 10 years even. Like, it eclipses anything that they have done in the movies as far as just how popular and widespread the appeal for this character is. So my thinking is that in like a competitive game where you have a license, in a competitive game that's based on IP and intellectual property, you want the popular characters and things from the intellectual property to be the marquee cards that get a lot of play and competitive play, because that syncs up. People don't like it when, you know, some random background character is the strongest character in the game based on this IP they're playing. You know, that's not why people like to play these games. They want the strong or cool or awesome characters to be the ones that get played. And I think we really nailed it with the child, especially with the most recent version. The discarding a harmful condition addition to that is just really strong. And then, yeah, just getting to recover 1 damage. Like, you just hang out with Boba. We had that game on stream or on recorded or in TTS, you know, where child just kind of hung out with Uncle Boba and helped recover some of that damage and made it really hard to take him down. So I would give the Child and Clan of 2 an A. And finally, the most controversial card to come out of Season 4 probably is the Darksaber. So this is a card created originally by Isaac. Submitted this card, and I think originally it just had one big attack for Maul, like just gave him a big attack, and I think give him like extra pierce and a reroll. And we had a few committee people play tested it and was like, this is way too strong with Maul. The main goal of it also was to make sure that it could be played with Sabine. Not necessarily to make her better, but just that it would, it would have her name on it, just for the lore. But it was definitely a Maul upgrade. You'll also notice that Isaac was very careful to make sure it has a subtitle, which no attachments in Imperial Assault have a subtitle. Of course, that allows us to make more cards called the Darksaber, and that's all I will say about that. So yeah, this card, oh man, we went through so many iterations. I think we stumbled on the idea for 2 small attacks instead of 1 big attack fairly early on, and that ended up being working really well with Maul's ability of what is it called, dual bladed fury. Like, that's actually a force multiplier, so you can give him little attacks and he makes them stronger. I had suggested an ability on the card that let Maul search out for his command card, which is Wreak Vengeance, and add it to his hand for free. But people didn't like that. Folks didn't really like that, so that ended up not getting on the card. I think I want to say Jake had suggested to allow Force users to use Imperial command cards, because a lot of people liked using Maul in Imperial Force user lists, and it sucks that he can't use Dark Energy and Price of Glory and those cards. It's really hard that he's usually the only other Force user on a list with Vader, or maybe him and Grand Inquisitor, but he can't play the same Force user cards that those guys can play because they're faction locked. So that was a really great hack to make him more playable. And of course, you'll notice it's neutral, so because Maul can be played in any faction, so we had to make sure to allow his attachment to be played in any faction. There we go. And then finally, we wrote, so originally Sabine has a history in the game before IACP where she was extremely strong compared to everything else. People were complaining about Sabine. I think season 1 of IACP even had Sabine nerfed down to 8 points. That quickly got undone when people realized she's not worth 8 points. But her grenade is very problematic. Her command card is very problematic. It's not designed that we would want to replicate in IACP for both of those things. Of course, she's a part of Spectre Cell, so she got a lot of negative exposure for that. So there was a very strong sentiment, including with myself, of being we do not want this card to be seen as a fix for Sabine. With that in mind, we put all these nerfs on it, and we're well, let's make it weird with Sabine. We'll just make it a weird card where it makes her a melee attacker. Turns out Sabine does not want to be a melee attacker. She is extremely fragile as a hunter, with a 7-point hunter with a white die and 11 health. She's extremely fragile, and she dies to everything. So if she gets close to anybody, she dies. People were not interested in playing this with Sabine at all, which is not really what we wanted. We wanted at least some people to want to try it out. But that being said, we finally decided with this last update that, if you look at if you really look at it, again, Sabine is not worth 8 points. She's not super strong at 8 points. This makes her cost 8 points. If you look at other things that do similar things, like targeting computer gives a reroll, just like this card does. People don't put targeting computer on Sabine. So I think that was where we were kind of like, okay, we listened to the community. Community is like, look, you don't need to nerf Sabine for this. We were just like, okay, if it just gives her a reroll and it gives her like a melee attack, like a bonus melee attack, she's probably fine. Speaking about the power level of the card, so obviously with Sabine, it's meh. It's like, if you were gonna take targeting computer with Sabine, take this instead. Maybe you'll get a decent bonus attack out of it if somebody comes in too close to you, but it's mostly just for the reroll. Now with Maul, obviously Maul gets the bulk of the benefits. Mainly the bonus attack is so good when he's using dual-bladed fury. He's getting that automatic focus. He's also getting a +1 damage that he gets from his normal attack. And then he's got Pierce 3, and Stalk Prey can be used to alter the second attack from the first attack. He's still super slow. He's 4 speed. He does technically have reach if you focus him beforehand. And he does have sustained by a rage, but that's only going to protect him, at the beginning of the round. If it's the end of the round and he doesn't, and you don't have last activation, your opponent could activate last in the round after Maul and kill him. And he's only got 12 health and a black die for 7 points. Not great. He's not the most durable figure, and he's not the fastest figure. But when he gets in, when he connects, like, he does a ton of damage. Especially with cleave. Like, if you focus him up beforehand and then you come in and use reach and cleave 2 for the first one, and then just do reach and cleave 2 for the second one, so you're doing red-green into red-yellow, like, that cleave is an extra 4 damage on top of the damage you're doing already, on top of the +1 damage, so you're doing an extra 6 damage on top of what he's already got, and he's got Pierce 3. He does so much damage. The main thing is that as soon as he comes in and does an attack, your opponent will just counterattack and kill him almost instantly. It really balances out. You just have to be good about getting in close. If you can keep him alive and get a second attack out of him, like, that's when he really dominates. But most of the time, that's not going to happen from what I've seen. I'm going to give Darksaber an A in that Maul with Darksaber becomes way stronger than he does on his own. Like, 6 points, this is terrible. This card is terrible. Still, I mean, he used to cost 7. Now he costs 7 again with Darksaber, and you will always take Darksaber with Maul. As far as Maul with Darksaber as a 7-point figure, I would say A-. So, I mean, he's just there. He's really good. Sabine with Darksaber, like C+, C. I'll say a C-. C- for Sabine with the Darksaber, but she was an F with the Darksaber before the update, so and she's honestly a B right now. I think she's a B in the meta, so C+. She does kind of get a little worse, but honestly I think it's a lateral for her. Anyway, guys, that was all the cards in season 4. Thanks for doing this. It was really fun for me anyway to get to talk about it. Definitely check out Isaac's stream at 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. British Standard Time on Friday. This coming Friday, he's going to be live streaming, and he's going to be going over the game logs from the last tournament on Sunday. So that'll be really interesting. Let's see. We're at 7 o'clock. I wonder if anybody's on Vassal right now. Because a bunch of you guys just jumped into the chat, I see. So let's see if maybe there's a game or two we can spectate. Let me switch over to my thing here. Let's see, look for game online. Oh yeah. Davy's playing Angelo and Mark's playing Tan. Alright, let's check it out. We gotta watch for like maybe another hour. Let's see. Oh, I'm dropping off. Alright, what we got? Oh, looks like they just started. We get to see Maul. I guess we see some of these cards in action. Let's see. You guys cool if I stream? Alright, let's open up some of these windows. So it looks like we've got a game here. And like I mentioned, the playtesting league is using old maps this week. Game. Changing all the windows. Oh, you guys can't see that. Let me preset. Oh, it's Derek. Hey, what's up, Derek? Looks like we're playing on the Rogue AI mission here. Oh, maybe they're on Discord. Hold on, guys. I'm going to check in on them on Discord. There they are. Hey guys. Good. Hey, do you guys mind if I stream your game? If you don't, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I like it. If you guys don't want me to, it's okay. Okay, cool. I guess I'll hang out in here just so I can hear what you guys are saying. But your voices won't be streamed. I'll mute myself. Yeah, I don't have desktop audio on. So, no pressure, guys. I should probably share this. Hey, Derek, you're watching on the stream. Can you share the link on the Slack? That's right. I'm making my chat work for me. So we've got an interesting matchup here. Let's see. So it looks like we've got on Davy's side. Actually, I don't know who's who, but on the red side, we've got Forlom Maul with Darksaber, Shyla, Elite Jawa, 3PO, Weakway Pirates, Jabba, and Extra Armor. So going for some Brawler Hunter synergy here. And then we got Rebels on the blue side with ATRT, Loku, Saboteurs, Gideon 3PO Mac, Combat Suit on the ATRT, Extra Armor, and Saska bringing an Elite Claudite, which is pretty spicy. right, so it looks like we're about halfway through round 1 here. Both doors closed. So by the way, this is Rogue AI. This is on the Tarkin Initiative map. This is an older map that was out like last year, 2019. On this mission, you've got a strain token on each of these colored objectives. And every time you enter one of the objectives with a strain token, you get 2 points, and then the objective randomly moves to another, or the strain token randomly moves to another objective. So it's a bit random. But we've got, on the blue side, we've got the rebels who have opened the door, and it looks like, let's see, who is Davy? Player 1 is Davy. So Davy's playing rebels. So Davy is using his ATRT, who has not activated yet, to kind of block line of sight. So even if Angelo or Aaron opens the door here, all he'll get to shoot at is the block tokened up combat suited ATRT. Aaron still has Shyla, Maul, and Forlom. He's got the treehouse side, which is this area right here with the, you see the tree in the green part. That's an excellent defensive position to move into, but I don't think he's interested in taking it. The problem though is he's blocked up his other door with the Weequay and the Jawa. Oh, he is. Okay, so he's moving Shyla, so that's actually Shyla there. I'm not sure why it's transparent, but I think the new vassal module just came out, so maybe that's why. So that is Shyla, FYI. Shyla is in the treehouse, so that's a very great defensive position. However, this ATRT can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and shoot right into Maul or Forlom. And he is going to have the last activation here, it looks like. Because Shyla should be activated already. Oh, he's going for it. That's dangerous. That puts him in range of Maul. If he goes all the way up, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's going to go all the way forward. Oh, it looks like he's got line of sight from there. So he's taking a shot at Forlom with ATRT, staying out of range of Maul. If Maul doesn't have any command cards that can give him movement points. Forlom, not the most durable figure. 9 health for 7 points. And is not going to be benefiting from 3PO. So here's the roll. He does get a reroll also if he wants it, but he mentions pretty amazing roll. I think that's about as good as it gets for that one. Oof, that is going to be 6 damage. Forlom does get to activate though here. Derek's saying the Claudite's positioning is really weird. Yeah, I mean, assuming that he started in the deployment zone and then did like the Senator ability, Conspire, and then moved up to the door. So it looks like he moved him up to the door to claim the terminal. And looking at the tokens on figures, I think he whiffed with Conspire because he's got extra armor, so that accounts for the block tokens on Shyla and Maul. So I'm guessing Conspire must have whiffed. Alright, so we got Forlom returning fire to the ATRT. And Forlom's got, yep, he's going to shoot a rainbow dice. He does get shared intuition here because Jabba's a hunter. Let's see if he remembers. He should have +1 block damage there. I might actually just mention it to them. It's a fun game. Let's see, right? If another friendly hunter within 3 spaces has line of sight. 1, 2, 3. Java. Yeah, you should get shared intuition for Java. So we spent a block token. Hey guys, do you mind if I remind you of an ability? Forlom should have gotten shared intuition since Java is a hunter. Yep, totally is. Yeah, I can see Shyla. Well, she's like a transparent circle. Oh yeah, but she doesn't have line of sight to the ATRT. Okay, back to the action. Just wanted to remind it because I thought that was too cool to not let it pass up. And it's not technically not optional, so a judge would have enforced that if you called a judge to the table. All right, so now it is Davy's activation. So he's got Maul. So and Aaron's got Maul and well, that's it, just Maul because that was Forlom. Davy's down to Loku and Saboteur. It'll be interesting to see if Maul can get in there because if Maul can reach that ATRT, I don't know that it can actually survive a double focused attack from Maul. And I don't know who the recon token's on actually. I would assume it's on Shyla since she's got like a crate token on her. But Loku can use priority target here to shoot through the ATRT. Yeah, I love Loku with ATRTs. I think they have great synergy. And Saboteurs as well. With the priority target allowing Loku to shoot through figures. So I'm guessing he's going to take a shot at Maul. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Could miss though. Could miss a range 7 shot. Oops, sorry guys. No shot. There. Okay, Maul's activating. So you can play Urgency. Yep, wants to save looking for a fight so he can play Parting Blow later on. And yeah, he's going to be coming up on this ATRT and we're going to see Maul unleash some fury. So I don't see the ATRT surviving this. So he's just going to be focused. The Dual Blade of Fury doesn't matter because there's nothing to cleave onto. It will matter for the second attack. So yeah, unfortunately that focus is wasted here. The focus on Maul from, I'm assuming either 3PO or Jabba. Normally you do want Maul to be focused so that way you can use dual-bladed fury to get reach and cleave 2 on the first attack, and still make it a 2-dice attack. Alright, so ATRT, Davy spending the block token for the ATRT. Oh man, that is a big roll. I think Aaron's forgetting the +1 damage. I'm not gonna remind them though. So it does 1 damage. ATRT has 13 health. And he's forgetting about the +1. Gonna use the Darksaber reroll. Ooh, big one. 4, 5, 6. Pierce 3. It's gonna do 5 damage. And Davy is reminding Aaron that he gets +1 damage since Maul has a built-in +1. It should be exact damage here. Piercing 3. 7. Pierce 3 is 6 damage. Good support, Davy, reminding him about that +1 damage, because that did make a difference there. So he did go for the focus there instead of reach and cleave 2, which if he had killed it, if the ATRT had died, he could have cleaved onto Loku, but he needed that focus to kill the ATRT there. So not too bad, 7 damage. Davy lamenting the loss of the ATRT here. Is linchpin part of his plan to be able to hide behind it, but it did its job. You know, it soaked up some damage, and he traded damage on Forlorn with it. Oh, and now the saboteurs get to go. If they can stun Maul, it's not going to be good for him. Although he can still get to... He still has looking for a fight. So he could unstun, looking for a fight, and then double attack Loku with reach. And so it looks like he's spending a surge token he got from Claudite. So excuse me, the Claudite was on the rebel side, so Claudite did not whiff. He looks like he got 2 surge tokens from the Claudite. So that's going to be range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a built-in +4. Alright, so it's got a good shot there. It's going to pierce the block token and then stun him and deal 4 damage here. And he did oversurge there, unfortunately, but got the job done. Now he does not, probably not going to want to spend the surge token with the second saboteur. Let's see, they're not showing who's got initiative here. Interestingly, nobody's gone for the objective yet at all. Okay, same shot. Oh, he's going to spend the surge, okay. It might pay off here. Looks like he did oversurge there, though. Oh no, he gets the Pierce 4, so it paid off. And that's going to be a nice 6 damage there. So this is kind of the play pattern I was just describing earlier on the stream. You know, Maul comes in, he deals a ton of damage, and then he just gets taken down pretty fast here. Jake, how much damage on activation? He just did 7 damage to the ATRT in one activation with exact damage. Maul did 7 damage to the ATRT, which did have 2 block tokens on it. Or no, had 1 block token. So looks like that's the end of the round. So end of round 1, going into round 2. We've got Aaron up 9 points since the... Oh yeah, I wonder if they did use the combat suit. I feel like they maybe forgot about the combat suit on the ATRT. But I guess it wouldn't have mattered because of the +1 damage from Maul that they ignored on the first attack. So who's got initiative? I do not know. All right, Davy's got initiative. No end of rounds. Oh yeah, so now he's in a bad spot because if he can't kill Maul before he activates, but he is stunned. Oh, and there's a start around. Aaron choosing for Forlom to be a hunter. I think Loku's got to activate here to get away from Maul. Otherwise, if he leaves Loku there, then looking for a fight's going to get played. Yep, activating Loku. That puts Maul in a really tough spot. Definitely going to kill him here. No cards. Where's dice go? So 3 damage. But he's so angry. So Maul technically going to die as soon as he finishes activating. So interesting spot for him to be in though. He might want to wait to activate him and maybe go for the objective and then maybe try and lure Davy onto the yellow one so he can get an attack. I don't know. He might have to try and draw and hope he gets like worth every credit if he runs that card. But I would say Maul still earned his points back. 7 damage to finish off that ATRT for a 7-point figure. Like, he didn't earn his full points back. So, yep, going with Jabba. He's going to draw a card. Oh. Never mind. Sounds like he's going with 3PO. Focusing the weak way. So yeah, those weak ways are just waiting by the door. I think that bottom weak way can actually draw a line of sight from where he's standing to the Rebel Saboteur on the bottom there. Let me check. Oh no, not quite. So, yeah, that weak way is not going to be able to shoot and open the door. Oh, but the Jawa can just open the door for him. I thought that was another weak way. Alright, Aaron activating Shyla. I guess she was focused by Jabba. Or no, he's activating Jabba. not sure. Definitely not. The pressure's not on Aaron here to activate anything big. Maul's dead, basically. Shyla's totally safe. It makes sense for him to just gin up here with 3PO and Jabba. Yeah, it looks like he did draw a card, so it looks like Jabba focused Shyla and drew a card. The nice thing is, well, the nice thing would be that Maul would be blocking line of sight to Jabba, but alright, so it looks like we've got Gideon playing planning. And focusing up a saboteur here. So, yep. I was going to focus the Claudite. So, yeah, both players ginning up, just kind of getting refocused since neither player really wants to step out. So, we're going to see a pretty big round 2 here, I think. Oh, yeah, they're taking the extra point for Jabba. All right, so we're back to Aaron's activation. He's down to the Jawa, Shyla, Maul, and Forlom in the weak ways. So, yeah, the interesting thing is, as soon as he opens the door with the Jawa, the saboteurs can come in and take shots at the weak ways, or at the single weak way. So he's kind of stuck in a tough place here, and he can't use the Jawa to body block because of priority target. So he's going to open the door here with the Jawa, hoping to probably tank. He's going to get the victory points from the red AI. 2 victory points. It's got 1 movement point left. And the rogue AI moves to the blue one. So likely is going to be out of play for this game, for the rest of the game, unless the Jawa might survive and be able to get it next round. But definitely not going to be getting any more victory points from those this round, I think. So now I think the Davy's going to probably activate the saboteurs here. He's going to go with the Claudite. Interesting. So he's going to move the Claudite, scheme, or conspire, I think is the name of the ability. Oh, did I make the dice go away? So he gets 2 surges. So 2 power tokens. So surge to the sabs. Yeah, I like this idea. Like we were mentioning on the set review, saboteurs, you got to figure out ways to give them those extra surges so they can get those abilities. Claudite's a way to do that. You know, you just don't always hit, but if you hit, he's good. But that has now given Aaron an opportunity to activate these weak ways. And I think both of them can get up to get a shot. I don't think he actually has line of sight to any of the sabs from there. Oh no, he does. Of course he does. So he's going to play Element of Surprise here on the Saboteur, the focused one. Davy considering, which means he probably has negation. He's going to use Calm Disruption. This is a focused hidden weak way. And he gets to reroll that white die anyway. Oh, playing Brace. I can't imagine him not spending the block token here. Aaron reminding him there's a block token. Yep, he's going to spend it. Yeah, that's going to be a lot tougher to one-shot, although that's a great roll. Although the evade is, or the surge is wasted, sadly. Oh man, doing just 2 damage there. Yeah, you could re-roll the third die, the third green die, but it could get worse. Oof. So, some defensive tech, keeping the Saboteur very healthy. And now we've got the other weak way. I don't think he can attack, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't see anything from there. Oh no, I lost chat because my phone died. Let me bring up the chat here. Pop out chat. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I don't think that weak way can get a shot from where he is. So he's gonna have the weak way stay there. And now I imagine these sabs are gonna come in. So the bottom set or the top Saboteur could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which I think gives him a shot at 3PO. Which with the Blast 2 is gonna not be good for Forlom. Let's see. And I'm totally cheating here and using the line of sight tool, but you know. So yeah, that top Saboteur can totally get to the 3PO from there with the 5 speed. And with the surge token, you know, he could get the blast. He needs to kill both. Oh, he's going to go with the focused one first. He's going to go for the attack on Forlom, which means he has to deal with 3PO's distracting. But, you know, if he shot at 3PO and 3PO dodges, you get nothing, so. Oh, but he has element. So, yeah, I wonder if he maybe should have shot at 3PO here. If he shoots at 3PO, Forlom has 9 health. So he only has 3 health left. I'm going to zoom in for you guys. Anyway, yeah, if he had shot at 3PO, played Element of Surprise, he wouldn't have any evades. He could just blast from 3PO into Forlom. Oh, wow. Well, there you go. Didn't matter. So that's going to kill Forlom and 3PO with the Blast 4. Which is going to give, let's see, 11 points. Or no, 9 points. So nice kill for the Sab there. Double kill. Which Sabs do sometimes. They'll just pick up double kills because of that Blast 4. But, you know, they can also whiff and not get any surges. In which case, their attacks can be pretty disappointing. He doesn't have a shot. He could still move the top Sab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and still shoot at the Jawa with priority target. I wonder if he's... I can't imagine Davy's forgetting about priority target because he mentioned it earlier about having the ATRT work with a priority target. Still 1 movement point for that Saboteur, by the way. But he's kind of stuck now because he's got Shyla above him. And then the figures below. Yep, so he's going to use priority target here to take a shot at the Jawa. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be a range 5 without a focus. So, small chance he could miss here. He just needs 1 accuracy on the yellow die. He's going to spend his surge. I always get nervous spending power tokens on attacks that can miss. Oh, he's not going to spend his surge. And he missed. Yep. So that would have been wasted if he had spent it. So we've got Shyla and Maul left to activate. Maul's kind of stuck. He's stunned. He's got looking for a fight, but I imagine he'll probably want to save that. I mean, he can't do anything with it anyway. Shyla's in a good spot, though, but she really needs to get rid of Loku if she wants to be effective in this game. Five. And that's hard to do because of where he's been parked. So it might just want to go after the... If he doesn't have any good attack cards, he might just go for the damaged Saboteur, since the undamaged one's got a block token. This is Shyla, by the way, with the see-through... Oh, there we go. They marked her for us. That's Shyla. Gonna whip the undamaged Saboteur. So she is focused. I wonder if he shouldn't have just moved 1 more so you could get that cleave. The surge for cleave too. He's thinking about it. This is where I don't want to say anything because this is totally up to the players. It's not like a mandatory ability that they're forgetting about here. So he's going to go for the damaged one, but he still didn't get close enough for cleave. You know, a lot of times you'll maybe only want to cleave if you're going to kill something, but you know, incidental damage is worth it if you can pick it up when you can pick it up. So It's gonna stick with the whip on the saboteur, the damaged one. I don't see any cards being played here. Yeah, he's in a tough spot here because he could overkill this Sab here. But he probably won't be able to kill the other Sab because of the block token. So, yep, that is a dead Sab. He should get 4 because of Jabba, but he gets the 3 for the 3-figure cost. And he's got 3 movement points left for Shyla. Yeah, that Pierce one from Loku is just going to totally invalidate those block tokens until he gets rid of Loku. Shyla's going to have to play a hit and run game until he can get to Loku. Don't want to lose my chat. What's up, chat? I have no idea. Yeah, Loku already went. Oh, sorry, I forgot to talk. I think we're at the end of the round there. Oh, Maul still has to activate. And Davy has a ton of figures left. He's got Mac and Soska still. So it looks like Mac is activating. Also has priority target. He spies really good with priority target. So he's gonna shoot at Shyla. So he put Shyla out there, but yeah, priority target means body blocking is hard to deal with. He's gonna get an automatic Pierce 1. So 1 damage. It would have done 0. But you know what? Shyla can actually just recover that with responsive. But if he does, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's rough. He put Shyla there, but she still can't quite get to Loku. Oh, but she has, you know what? She has, she's got looking for a fight. So she could get to him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And she's still focused, this looks like. I don't know why. I don't think she should be focused. Because I know Jabba already went. But the good thing is, Aaron's gotten rid of the multi-activation figures since he killed that Saboteur. So he could probably take a turn with Jabba to focus Shyla up for next round so he can try and one-shot kill Loku if he has some hunter cards. Like if he has Assassinate or if he has tools, he could probably one-shot Loku with a focused Shyla attack. So Maul, sadly, is just going to die after he is sustained by rage or whatever it's called. Yeah, the stun really got him. But, and again, like, Maul gets 1 attack off, usually, and then just goes down. So. Alright, so that is the end of round 2. Going into round 3, hopefully we can watch the rest of round 3, because it's a close game, but I'm going to have to go pretty soon. Family's getting antsy out there. Unfortunately, Aaron has given up his terminal here, so he's going to be drawing one less than Davy. And he really needs the cards. I think he's... So initiative goes to Aaron. If he can keep it, I feel like he wants to go with Jabba first so he can draw and focus Shyla. So I don't think Shyla's in danger here. But if he doesn't kill off Loku, Shyla's going to die. I mean, but then he could activate Loku, get a focused attack on Shyla. Yeah, the tempo is tough here. Maybe he should just retreat with Shyla. So, yep, activating Shyla first. He's looking for a fight. Oh, that's right. He gets her damage token. Power token. He's going to use it to push the Saboteur. Ah, okay. So he's going to use Parting Blow. Then likely going to use... going to attack again after removing the stun. So this will definitely kill this Saboteur. Unless he has Opportunistic, though, it's going to leave Shyla pretty exposed. I can't help but think he would have wanted to go for Loku instead. But if he doesn't use Parting Blow now, he won't get to use it later, I guess. So block token is going to negate that, negate the damage token. So yep, 5 damage. So Shyla becomes stunned. Still has 1 action left. Actually, still has 2 actions left. Sounds like... Oh, nice. Aaron's got Grizzly Contest to figure off the Sab. I think they're forgetting to do the Jabba points. Oh no, they're remembering. Because that's 10 from ATRT and then 4 from each Sab, so... Oh no, but yeah, he did forget. So Aaron should be at 20 right now. Okay, so Shyla takes 2 damage from Grizzly Contest as a strain. Oh no, he's gonna burn cards instead. So lose Marksman, it's an interesting one. And Heightened Reflexes. It looks like he's probably used Responsive for the movement point. Oh, he's got Rally. Nice. Although that's used at the start of your activation, so that wouldn't technically work. Okay, yep. So Davy points out the misplay there. But honestly, he's not even in that bad of a position. Yeah, you can just clear the stun and then move away. He should have 5 movement points from Responsive. Yep, there you go. And again, unfortunately, you can't body block because Loku and Mac have priority target. And they're going to get that Pierce 1 and the focus for Loku. Alright, so 3PO is activating for Davy. I'm going to focus, I'm assuming Mac. So Aaron is ahead 20-16. They just didn't count the Java points yet. Oh, he focused with Loku, which says to me he's not going to go after Shiloh with Loku. That tells me he's going to go try and go for these weak ways. Oh, it looks like Davy forgot to do Senator, to do the Claudite to shift it into, I'm guessing, Marksman. Or what is it called? Scout. So that's the sniper one that replaces a red die with a blue die. And also has priority target. So everything in his list has priority target. That's pretty funny. So Aaron activated the Jawa to take that blue blue AI, 2 points. And Davy just remembered the Java points, so now it should be 22. Yeah, this is a pretty close game, honestly. I think it feels like Davy's a little ahead on material for some reason, but you know, actually Shiloh plus 2 weak ways plus a Jawa. Yeah, I think Aaron's ahead here. But Davy's got good options here because of priority target. I think Davy's gonna have to start going for these AI tokens and just start controlling, because like Jabba's just sitting there. That's 6 points that could easily be farmed. Mac could kill Jabba and strip a card from Aaron's hand. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unfortunately, Loku is 1 space too far to get to that yellow one. So 3PO focused Mac there. Or no, sorry, I think Gideon focused Mac and then moved him up 2 spaces. I wonder if that puts Mac in range, though, of the weak ways. So Aaron still has Jabba and weak ways to go. Davy has Loku, Claudite, Saska, and Mac left to activate. And he has a lot of activations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 8. Alright, so Davy activating Mac. Moving 4 and shaking a shot at Jabba. Oh, I wish he had done this the other way so he could get the kill with Mac, and then he could use Mac's ability. Critical hit. Yeah, I feel like you go with Loku and then Claudite and then Mac. Looks like Mac's not going to make range here. Oh, he's got accuracy surge. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's got 8. So Deadeye command card's going to give him the accuracy he needs. So we're going to be 5 damage to Jabba. But he's not going to get to take the command card with critical hit because he didn't kill Jabba. But yeah, Davy can bring it back here. He can take the points back. The weak ways and Shiloh are really well protected down there, but they're not really near anything. So this is a close game still. So yeah, I'm gonna activate Jabba. I mean, there's a ton of figures standing right there that want to kill him. So yeah, I'm going to activate Jabba to get that card draw and focus up probably a weak way. This is going to be hard for Aaron to lose all of his focus engines, though. He's going to be sans focus after this, since he lost 3PO as well. Especially like the Jawa really wants to be focused when it starts to start attacking. So Davy activating Saska. I don't think he's doing anything though. I don't think he wants to open that door. And I think that's a pass from Aaron. Claudette comes up and we'll take a shot at Jabba. With blue, green, yellow because of the scout rifleman ability. And that's a range 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a range 8 shot. Oops. This Claudite has +2 accuracy built in and a surge for +2 accuracy. So that's 6. Yep, he's made range. And he will just pierce 2 and +1. So 4 damage, I think is 1 short unless he's got like positioning advantage. Four damage, ooh, not really what you want from a 6-point focused figure, but the range was good. And now we've got Aaron moving the weak ways up. I don't think he has a shot, so yeah, just gonna hide them. This one might have a shot. He's gonna come up here and try and punish Davy's figures for going after Jabba. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course Loku has priority target, so he can take a shot at Jabba, but that's going to be a range 9 shot. I mean, he has focus. It's actually, yeah, that's not a difficult shot for Loku. So Jabba's going to go down, although it took 3 focused attacks to bring Jabba down. But it's going to tie up the score and leave Aaron without any focusers, while Davy still has both of his focus generators. And he's got Shyla way out of position. Oh, Heart of Freedom on Loku. That's going to let him get that 2 points. So he's going to pull ahead here. Once he kills Jabba for sure. And the token's gonna go to down to blue. So that's good for Aaron, because Jabba's got nothing to do otherwise. And he's gonna take that easy kill shot on Jabba. Not gonna use a surge token, which I think Loku wants a damage token, but yep, Loku has +6 accuracy. Ooh, close. 1 damage. Jabba goes down. Davy pulls ahead. 24. 24 to 22. Oh man, okay, we're gonna stay on to see the last round. I think it's still anybody's game. That weak way is out of position though. He's not quite. I mean, he could get to Mac. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Let me look here. Also, I keep forgetting to look at the chat. Nobody's in the chat. So that's the end of round 3. Can he get there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that weak way could totally get to Mac from there. If he goes and sits right underneath that blocking terrain square, that weak way by the terminal can get to Mac. But he's not going to get any more points from Jabba, unfortunately. So he's only going to get 3. Oh, sounds like there's a start around card here to play. Ooh, Aaron playing set a trap. So let's see which map tile he's going to choose. I mean, this doesn't matter until the end of the round. This is a hard map to use this on. So he's going to choose the tile with the treehouse, which is the one that Loku's standing on. So that means that at the end of this round, if both players have a figure on that tile, then Aaron's figure can shoot at Davy's figure. Yeah, set a trap's tough because your opponent has to have a figure on that tile. So if they don't want to get shot by it, they just stay off of that tile. So we'll see if Davy realizes the danger that Mac is in since he's got initiative. Who's Davy going to activate? I mean, he needs to activate Mac if he doesn't want to lose him. I don't think he can one-shot these weak ways with any of his figures as they are without a focus. Let's see if his danger sense... Oh, he's going with 3PO. He's going to double move for the distracting bonus, but Mac's got 1 health left. I think he played Intelligence Leak. Sorry, guys. Oh, I see. Yeah, he played Intelligence League, and that's why Assassinate was gone. Come on, Aaron. See it. See the vision. You can see it. If he just moves that bottom weak way up. Oh, no, he passed. And then Davy is activating Gideon. Oh, neither of them see it. I mean, yeah, so if he goes with the bottom weak way, he moves up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Range 8 shot at Mac. Just needs to do 1 damaging at range 8. Which might be a stretch for even a hidden weak way. Oh, Shyla's out of position. She got 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Unless she's got another movement trick up her sleeve. 1, 2, 3. She can't see the Claudite, and she's out of range of 3PO. Yep. So they're talking about how the AI works. If you're standing on the objective when the AI comes there, you don't score it. You have to enter the space while the strain token's on it. Oh no, he's sending the Jawa. If it goes to yellow or green, that points are going to be undone. It looks like it went to green. Oh, it's a yellow. So that's some. So the points you just took from that's going to get undone by Davy's figures, taking it 2 points back. Yeah, I think he just doesn't see the shot with the weak way. And now Mac's going to move, and he's probably going to be out of range now. I mean, that's a tough shot to make. Honestly, I would not have seen it if I wasn't using the line of sight calculator. So, I mean, maybe I would have, but I tend to start looking for weird line of sight angles when I'm in a position like this. Yep, Mac is out of there. I mean, he could go for 3PO. He's not going to get last activation is the problem. So Loku and Claudite left. Has Shyla and Weequay. So yeah, that's the problem is... Well, I mean, he could go with Weequay, focus Weequay, kill 3PO. Hidden Weequay, get the blue objective. Or you could go with Shyla, get the blue objective. And then wait, let the Claudite or Loku activate. Yeah, I'm not sure. So we're going to activate the Weekways. I wonder if that's even right. Let's see. Oh, his line of sight to 3PO from there. Nice. See, I did not see that. Nice. Yeah, that Weequay is going to die if he stays there. I mean, that was true either way. So yeah, it's going to shoot at 3PO. Hidden Weequay. He's got, it's a range 6 shot. He's got +2 built in, so accuracy's fine. 3PO is going to use Coward or reroll because he's going to die otherwise. But Weequay gets the reroll first. I don't see why you'd want to. Yeah, I don't think you reroll here. That sounds like that's what Aaron's thinking. Perfect roll. Yep, that's still dead 3PO. Yep. Oh no, he's... Oh, the block. Yeah, he still kills him. So, yep, dead 3PO. Tie it up. 26 to 26. But now what is this week we're gonna do? I mean, he could shoot at Gideon. He's not gonna kill Loku or this. Unless he's got some crazy command card hands like I mean, primary target, he's already focused. 7, 8, 9. Ouch. Oh, it's range 8. You could take a range 8 shot at Gideon. Like, honestly, that's what I would... If this was the last round, I think you shoot at Gideon. You shoot at Gideon. You hope that only one of your Weekways dies here. And then you pull out the clutch win with Shyla. He's going for Loku. Alright, so you re-roll that first die there. Oh man, he doesn't have Assassinate. He doesn't have tools. I mean, they're probably playing to 40. I'm just kind of pretending this is the last round because I'm going to go after this round. But yeah, if they were playing to 40, if this is the last round, it's like a timed tournament game, I would take the shot at Gideon because you have range right there. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pierce 1. Like if Gideon had rolled even 2 blocks, he would have died. So 6 damage to Loku. So yeah, would have killed Gideon. Aaron would have gone to 29. Davy goes, he goes with Loku and Claudite. He kills a weak way. He goes to 30. In the meantime, Shyla takes 2 points off the blue, and then you hope that it doesn't go to green or yellow. You know, if it goes to red, then the Claudite and Loku can't get to red and kill a weak way, and then Aaron would win on time. But you know, they're probably playing to 40, in which case the strategy changes. When you're playing to 40, then you want to be killing their attackers. It's not just about picking up random victory points. You have to keep playing the attrition game. So it would make sense to go after Loku here if he's on 40. The other problem too. So this makes sense to go for this weak way because it's the set a trap weak way. That might be what Aaron's hoping for, is that his weak way lives, but weak way can't tank 2 attacks unless he's got on the lamb. I don't think he plays on the lamb though because there was only smugglers. So that's gonna be the surge token. That's a 1-shot at weak way. Ouch. Oh, 1-shotted. So if the Claudite can 1-shot this weak way. Aaron lamenting the loss of set a trap. She can't attack. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's not much you can do from here. To pull out the game here. That's about all you can do. Is set up for next round. Yeah, and if he's playing to 40, he doesn't want to take the blue AI here. Yeah, he's going to recover 1. So he doesn't need that extra movement point. Yeah, he doesn't want to move that blue AI because it's just going to get taken by one of Davy's figures, and the Jawa's on standby to take it when he needs it. Yep, so Shyla has now come out, and Loku's still alive, unfortunately. So the Pierce one's going to negate that block token. It's a focused attack. Ooh. So 3 damage to Shyla. Not bad, actually, thanks to that evade. So, yep, I think this is it. Davy's got it if it ends here. So, yep, that would be game. That would have been 31-30 if you had gone for Gideon. It looks like Aaron's going to have initiative. He's going to kill Loku, which is going to take him to 31. I think he might actually win here by going to 40. If they play it out. Kills Loku. Oh. Oh, no. Take initiative, and Aaron says the gate's on the bottom of his deck. It's the last card in his deck. Oh, no. So, yeah, you just go with Loku. Focused attack on Shyla. Run away. And then Claudite kills Shyla if Shyla tries to kill Loku. That's a 5-point figure for a 7-point figure that maintains Davy's lead. Oh man, that take was clutch. Oh, and Loku's stretch shifts too. He's not even gonna try and run away. Rough. He's probably gonna draw that negation. So he's exhausting Gideon for taking initiative. And he's probably going to do like 4 or 5 damage to Shyla. I don't know if Davy forgot to change form on the Claudite, but it probably should have changed to Street Rat. Ooh. Ooh. No, that's 1 damage. That was not good for Davy. Not what he wanted there. That's not going to let him kill Shyla. I mean, he could get Shyla with a focused Mac. Okay, he's changed to Street Rat. Yeah, I think you go for Loku here because Loku is still providing that passive Pierce 1. This has been a really good game so far. So there's a question. If you Mandalorian Whip, Parting Blow, do you get to attack twice? And the answer is no, because Parting Blow stuns you before the main attack from Mandalorian Whip would happen. The only way you can get around that is with like Punishing Blow. So he's not going to go for Loku, he's going to go for the Claudite. Claudite has 8 health and a black die. This is just an unfocused attack. It's a good one. That's 7, so he's going to do 6 damage. If he has something to deal more damage, 2 more damage. I don't know what that would be, though. He already used Grizzly Contest. Didn't play Death Blow. Yep, 6 damage. And now he doesn't really have a way to kill Loku. Gonna use responsive retroactively to recover 1, of course. Fine with Davy. Davy's a good sport. Definitely need to ask your opponent for permission when you want to do something like that. So Shyla is gonna move away. So he's going to move to block line of sight to the weak way maybe. But the street rat doesn't care, and I don't think he wants to go for the weak way anyway. I think he needs to kill Shyla. Yeah, so Aaron's in a tough spot here. He spread his damage out. He's got 2 attackers. So the problem with leaving Loku alive is Gideon and Mac now become threats against Shyla. Like, if you kill Loku, then Mac and Gideon are not threatening to Shyla really at all. I mean, they can maybe do like 2 damage each, but with Pierce 1, that 4 damage turns into 6. Plus whatever the street rat does, plus whatever Saska decides to do, like if she decides to use a remote device. Street rat Clyde, it's pretty scary when it's not dead. Oh, he's going to play primary target on Shyla. That's going to be +1 damage, Pierce 1, focused, Assassin's Blade, red, green, green, red, yellow. This does not look good for Shyla. Surge abilities are Surge for +1, 2. I think he's doing 8. Yeah, he's doing 8 there. That's a dead Shyla. But I think he forgot about the Pierce 1. Because she didn't have any block tokens left. Let's see if he remembers the Pierce. And then Guardian or Vehicle? How's that? Hunter Spy? There, he just remembered the Pierce 1. I'm not sure how the Claudite's taking +1 block. But yeah, that's a dead Shyla. And I think that's going to call it. So he goes to 37. And then he still has Saska, Gideon, and Mac. Loku already activated. I mean, he can't really get it. He can't get to the blue. He can't kill the Jawa. I mean, he could. Oh, Wiko is going to go kill Loku. But Aaron's going to be too far behind. That was the trade we were talking about he did not want to make, was trading Shyla for Loku. Yeah, that'll do it. And now, I mean, Mac could YOLO and go try to get, or Saska could try and get the kill with the grenade. I don't know, I guess she can't shoot and grenade. She could try and shoot him. I mean, she's got a decent attack. She's speed 4. Yeah, she's gonna try and kill the Jawa. She could, theoretically. She need, no, not with that. She would have needed, I mean, no, I guess she can't because take cover. She would have needed 5 symbols, right? And then Jawa would take cover for +1 block. Ooh, Jawa's going to go for the counter attack. I don't know about that, because if he goes to the Jawa to get the blue one and it goes to the red, Jawa could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Oh no, he can't quite make it. And Jawa has a nice roll there, 3 damage. Oh, does he want to gamble? I think you gamble, right? I would gamble there. Then you go to 32, and then you get the points. So you go at 34, and then next round, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's done here. All right, well, I'm gonna call it here, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna jump into the Discord. Thank these guys for being awesome. Hey guys, I'm gonna cut this stream. Thank you so much for letting us watch. That was a really good game. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was really good. I hope you guys enjoy that. All right, see you later. Bye. All right, bye everybody. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Catch you next week. Make sure you watch Isaac's stream Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. British Standard Time. See you later.